The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. And guys, I can't believe I've been covering Oleksandr Usyk for almost a decade now here on this channel. So trust me when I tell you, I never ever thought in my wildest dreams that this phrase would ever come out of my mouth. But there's a first time for everything. So welcome to the channel, guys. Make sure you smash the like button. We got a great show planned for you guys to talk about something in boxing today that happened that wasn't so great. This is, in fact, the aftermath, and let's sound it out, guys. This is the aftermath of Oleksandr Usyk getting exposed by Rico Verhoeven, the kickboxer. Yes, and Turki Alalshikh is still out here ruining boxing. And guys, I've been taking it easy on Turki Alalshikh. I haven't really gone off too much about Turki like I used to go off about Turki for about a solid year now. I've been pretty quiet because Turki ain't really been out in the forefront much. Zuffa boxing's coming to the sport, so I haven't really Turki hasn't really gotten it for me. But do you guys remember? Do you guys remember back in early 2025? Late 2024, when I really go off about Turki Alalshikh, and back when I told you guys, at least you're getting the fights. At least you're getting the fights. At least you're getting at least you're getting the fight. At least we're getting Usyk versus a fucking kickboxer. And I never spoke about this. If you guys go check the video archives, the channel history, I never made one video about this fight. Not a video, not a YouTube short, not a community post, nothing. Because one thing that I'm very good about when it comes to boxing and when it comes to my own personal life is I can sniff out a shit show and fraudulent behavior from a mile away. And this fight was always going to be a shit show. It was always going to be something that really wasn't worth our time and or our attention, even though people are saying the fight exceeded expectations and Rico was this and Rico was that. It's not good for boxing that one of the best fighters in the sport looked like dog shit against a kickboxer, right? And it ain't the first time. It ain't the first time it's happened, but I actually think this is worse than even Tyson Fury looking bad against Ngannou because, Usyk is supposed to be the man of the era in the heavyweight division. And so it looks terrible. But you know what? And I'm going to get to these comments in a second. Make sure you guys smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, super chat, because I'm gonna give y'all a solid 2 hours and or more today. We're gonna see. I have a lot to say today. But this just goes to show you that when you don't do the right thing, when you compromise the competitive integrity of the sport, when you allow fighters, I don't care how great they are, and Usyk is great, when you allow them to just do whatever they want because they earn the right to do it, at some point in time you will get a shit show, right? And so Usyk had a lot of options out there. I'm not saying he had to fight Mosey Tama, but he could have fought Mosey Tama. He could have fought Ajib Kabayel. He could have, even if Filip Hrgovic would have sufficed, somebody that was an actual fighter, boxer. But no, you fought a kickboxer, and you found out that kickboxer is a pretty bad man. So hey, respect to Rico Verhoeven. We seen what he's capable of and why he's great in his sport. But this ain't a kickboxing channel. This is a boxing channel. So I'm here for the better interests of the sweet science, pugilism, as they call it, right? So I'm gonna speak more from that perspective. But credit to him, he got in the ring with a top fighter. And he didn't look out of place. Like, he looked better against Usyk than a lot of guys. So the referee bailed him out. The referee bailed out Usyk late in the fight. It was a shit show, and really, it truly is a stain. Let's be real. It is a stain. Otherwise, what's been up to this point for Usyk, I would say damn near a perfect career. If you talk about Usyk from his pro debut all the way up to his last fight. Apart from the Dubois fight, which people still debate with the body shot, was it legal, was it not legal? Apart from that one little moment, his career has been damn near flawless. So it pains me to say this because I like Usyk. I've always been a Usyk advocate. I got videos on this channel from 2017, 2018, years ago, telling you about how great I thought this guy was. I got videos of my dad talking about Usyk in 2018, 2019 when he fought Witherspoon, and a lot of people thought that he wasn't that good and he couldn't beat Fury and he couldn't beat Joshua. And Pops came here and he told y'all Usyk was the truth before it was popular to say Usyk was the truth. So really and truthfully, I'm just I'm frustrated. I am frustrated because I really am a Usyk fan. But nonetheless, those are my opening statements. Let me go ahead and let me go to these comments, man. Let me just take the next 5 minutes or so to run through these comments. I'll let some people get some time to come in here and get their thoughts and join the live. I got like 4 talking points, and we're gonna run through all of them because I have a lot to say. So we got my man Dark Eagle in the building. Shout out to you, Fresh BX. He says Hollywood BT. You heard me, Hollywood BT. That's what they call me these days. They call me Hollywood BT, like Hollywood Hulk Hogan. But I'm still the same BT. I'm still just a kid from Daniel. Don't forget it. Josh says that Inoue is number 1. It's official now. Oleksandr Usyk exposed. Yes, Josh. Yes, I can't believe I'm saying it, but yeah, we'll get to that later on with Inoue and Usyk and the pound for pound talk. I thought Usyk would be one of the last people to do crossover fights. Yeah, this sport is cooked. Yeah, and it's like Usyk's a Eastern European fighter. He comes from that Eastern European background, real stoic, real serious, real about the sport. And then they wave some Arab money in front of him. And he got in line with it. So it's unfortunate. It really does. To me, it is a stain on what's been a damn near flawless career up to this point. Jitterbug says, so what was Pop saying about Inoue grabbing his balls to fight competition? This is the competition Usyk grabbed his balls for. I'm not trying to diss Usyk, but put some respect on Inoue. I put all the respect on Inoue. I've been very upset about him not going to featherweight, but at least look, to Inoue's credit, at least he's still fighting legitimate, ranked boxers. He didn't fight an 0-1 kickboxer and then go life and death and have to get bailed out by him. So it sucks to say this, but yeah, Usyk is gonna have to be below Inoue now for sure. If there was ever a debate, because I personally felt like going into this fight, it was a 1A 1B type situation. You could favor Usyk because of the resume, or you could favor Inoue because of the accomplishments and activity. But I feel like you couldn't really have gone wrong with either guy. But now, and things change fight by fight. They do change fight by fight in boxing. You got to put Inoue 1, and you can debate about who's 2, but Inoue got to be by himself now. Give my man his due. He did. And Cyrus says Usyk tried to carry Rico, and it went wrong. It did. That's what you get. You play stupid. You play silly games. You play stupid games. You win stupid prizes. You understand? So he said, LMFAO, go ahead and say the magical word. We said it a couple of times. Exposed. Yes. Reverse Lee. He said, Reverse Lee says, give a shout out to the real pound for pound number 1 fighter, Naoya Inoue. I've always given Naoya Inoue his respect. Somebody, not you, Reverse Lee, but a lot of people feel like, oh, I get out of pocket because I want to see him at featherweight. And I think that he's such a great fighter that he shouldn't waste his time with these guys at 122. He's really clear out the division. But again, he's still fighting the highest ranked guys, apart from like Yi Jun Kim, who he fought because that was a later replacement. He's been fighting the highest ranked guys. He hasn't done none of this, right? So Inoue respect is going up after today. You got to. Shout out to Chris. He says, I'll be honest, man. It was sad not seeing Gi sharpen the belt for his daughter. I hope he wins a world title one day soon. Yeah, he definitely was disappointing. I mean, I didn't really have no strong thoughts about that fight. It was what it was to me. But yeah, he really was underwhelming today against Catterall. But hey, I guess Catterall's kind of the champion, even though I like Rolly's the super champion, and I guess that makes Catterall the regular champion. So the WBA doing what they do with the politics and stuff like that. But good to see you, Chris. Montero was spewing absolute bullshit on his live. I couldn't watch. Well, look, man, we all shout out to the brother Michael Montero. I got nothing against him. I like Michael, but we all have our favorites. So sometimes we could all be prone to and liable to spew some bullshit, in favor of our favorite guys. That's just people in general, right? But shout out to him. Shout out to Matt Borgeson. And then after Matt's 2 super chats, I'm gonna go ahead and get to my talking points because I don't want to waffle on about here. But he says, I don't think that Usyk tried to carry him. I feel like Rico just had a good game plan, showed decent footwork, and smothered Usyk, and it worked very well. And listen, man, one thing about Rico that I can say, I'm not going to profess to be this Rico Verhoeven expert because truth be told, I didn't make one video about this fight when it got signed in the buildup. I didn't make one YouTube short. I didn't make one tweet. I legitimately did not care about this fight, right? The only reason I even tuned in to this fight, really, if I'm being honest with you, was just because I wanted to see what was going to happen with Richard Torres Jr. and Frank Sanchez, which, by the way, we talk about Usyk getting exposed. American heavyweight boxing exposed again, for the gajillion time. That's the reason I tuned in. But yeah, like I thought he came very prepared. He came very hungry. Came very determined. He smothered him. And on top of that, he's a big guy. Like, he had a big size advantage on him. He moves very well for his size, and he gave Usyk a lot of problems. And I felt like, Usyk. This is the first time I can honestly say Usyk looked his age. He looked like he was in his late 30s, and it kind of makes you understand now why maybe he didn't want to go fight Ajit Kabiel or a guy like Moses Itama, right? So, it is what it is. It's part of the game. The second super chat, he says, also, Turkey leaving in the 10th was very suspect. I mean, look, man, Turki Alalshikh, I've been very vocal about my stance on that. That's why I can't go to Saudi Arabia, because I'm not trying to be like the James Khashoggi guy. But Turki Alalshikh, he's like a petulant child. I'm sure he loves boxing. I do think he is a boxing fan, but he just has all these weird random ideas. And, you put Usyk, one of the boxing true greats, in this weird fight where, like, nobody was going to give him credit if he won this fight, and everyone was going to shit on him if he had even a couple of moments of not looking great in this fight. So it really wasn't a win. It was a no-win situation for Usyk, other than the fact that he was going to get paid a lot of money, which is great. I'm glad that he can get paid a lot of money. Boxing's a hard, tough, arduous business. These fighters go through a lot. I definitely understand that aspect of it. But at the same time, just because you're getting a bag and a bag is offered, I don't think you should ever compromise the competitive integrity of the sport for a bag, right? And that's why I feel like this happened to Usyk, because he did something today, and when he signed for this fight, that really I didn't think he'd ever do. He compromised the competitive integrity of the sport, and he never had to, because he made great money fighting, Fury. He's gotten a couple Saudi paydays. He's been well looked after in his career, and I get it. None of us are gonna pay his bills when all this is done. So I get it. Get what you can while you're here. But that's just my stance as a boxing fan and as a man. You shouldn't compromise and water down the competitive integrity of boxing just because for Usyk, I feel like it's just because he's not no club show fighter who's struggling to make ends meet. He's been looked well after. He's an accomplished fighter, and that's what it is. So, yeah. And then the last super chat before I get into my talking points, and I appreciate everybody here. Respect to everybody here who's showing love to the channel and the chat. Let me know where you guys are watching from. Definitely hit the like button, subscribe, and all that good stuff. But David Esther says the fact that Usyk looks so bad might be why he wants to face Kabiel now. You're saying that's why he wants to face Kabiel? I feel like that's the reason why he didn't face Kabiel. Because let's be honest. Usyk had a long, decorated amateur career. Usyk was a guy that really and truthfully, he's been in some tough fights, the Dubois fights, the Fury fights, the Joshua fights, Derek Chisora, even early in his career against Murat Garcia, Tony Bellew, Marius Briedis, Michael Hunter. Like, he's really been put through the ringer so far as his he's been put through the ringer in his career as far as his competition, as far as his training camps, and that stuff adds up over time. So only the fighter himself knows what his body's really feeling. These fighters, I'm telling y'all, I've seen it with my own eyes with more than one fighter. These fighters really put themselves through hell to get ready at that level. When you're at that level where Usyk is, you got to really put your body through absolute hell to even be ready to fight on that level. And a lot of people don't understand that. It's not, even if the fights are easy, these camps are not, and it adds up over time. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that. But I hope Kabiel, whether it's against Usyk or whether Usyk gets rid of the belt and they elevate him, I hope Kabiel can get in a big fight. So whether it's Kabiel versus Usyk or Kabiel versus Moses Itama or Kabiel versus Filip Hrgović, which is personally the fight I want to see. I want to see Kabiel versus Filip Hrgović in Germany. Big Croatian population, a lot of German people there. I think it's a crazy event with a great atmosphere. I want to go to Germany. One of the people that raised me when I was a kid, my Uncle Andreas, shout out to Uncle Andreas. He was German, right? So I've always been fascinated by the German culture and Germany, and I've read things about Germany and traveling there. So God willing, I wish that fight could happen, but it probably won't. I think Hergovich probably fights Dubois or Itama, but that's just me thinking out loud. All right, last super chat, and then I will get to my talking points because I gotta address this guy because this is a friend of the program. I met this guy in real life, in the flesh, in Atlanta. Shout out to my boy Chris Myatt Jr. He says, "What up, BT? You're on your 07 Kanye West stuff. Keep it up, champ." And I appreciate you, Chris. Thank you so much. And shout out to Chris, man. When I was in Atlanta, Chris, he gave me his book, and I gotta start reading it soon. It's called The Lighthouse by my man Chris Myatt Jr. So shout out to him. I got it right here on my desk. So shout out to Chris. But yeah, man, the Kanye West of boxing media interviews, the commentaries, e-commerce, merch, all kinds of stuff going on in the boxing game planning, just Kanye West of boxing media, guys. Remember I told y'all. But anyway, I digress. Thank you, Chris, for the super chat. Let me get into it, man. Let me get into it because we got some things to say. Shout out to all 75 of you guys rocking with your boy BT, running to the untouchable True School Sports Empire. All right, so look, I gotta get this off. I gotta give y'all the real. I gotta tell you what's what. Okay, because I haven't said this in a long time. If you guys noticed, there hasn't been a Turki Alalshikh video in a long time on this channel. I've been very, very gracious in this calendar year of 2026 with Turki Alalshikh, but I must be honest. I must tell the truth. I must be content to tell the truth, and that is this: Turki Alalshikh, he's been ruining boxing for 3 years. This event was corny, and boxing got what it deserved, which was a big egg on its face. All right, because what I'll say is this: I thought it was very cool. I thought Turki got it right in terms of the aesthetics. I think I give him credit for that. You put this fight in the desert with the pyramids, you knocked it out the park. But the fight that you had at the pyramids, it didn't match the aesthetics. It didn't match, the stage that you set, right? Honestly, it did not. So that's where I feel like it was let down. And even apart from the fight, your co-main event, with all due respect to him, your co-main event was Jack Catterall versus Giashov, which is it's a good, solid, high-level fight, but it shouldn't be no co-main event at the pyramids, right? So this just goes back to things I've said in the past, things that like Gary Jonas from Pro Box TV has said in the past, is that yeah, he's got a lot of money. He has a lot of ideas. And to a degree, and I'll give him his credit, he is creative. He is a bit of a visionary in certain things, and I appreciate his ambition in certain aspects. But he doesn't know about boxing. He doesn't have good boxing people there to actually do what they're supposed to do. And he's splashing the cash around. And it's really, in my opinion, it's screwed up the boxing market because we haven't even gotten all the fights that we need to see. Yeah, we've had a couple big fights that have happened. But I mean, look at it. Like Dave Benavidez, he hasn't fought a Bivol. He hasn't fought a better Biev. We got 4 featherweight champions. Has Turki Alalshikh said, "Hey, let's go do a featherweight tournament?" Because it wouldn't cost him anything to do Angelo Leo, Bruce Carrington, Rafael Espinoza, and Brandon Figueroa in a tournament. He has the money to do that. He ain't really done that. Jairo Pataya is supposed to be this great fighter that he loves. They gave Jairo Pataya and Chris Billon-Smith combined less than a $1 million budget to fight on the Eubank versus Ben undercard last year. And when you're talking about unification fights, $1 million combined from both fighters is not going to suffice. You're going to need to up it for that. So Opataya, he's gotten paid to a degree. He's gotten paid really well, but his career hasn't even advanced the way it was supposed to with Turki Alalshikh. And that's just and those are just 3 of the examples I could give you of Turki, not really ruining boxing, in my opinion, right? And I don't care what nobody has to say. That's been my stance for a long time. It's been a stance that I've been very quiet about this year because I feel like I've said it enough times. I don't need to say it that many more times. But now that this happened, I'm saying it again. Turki Alalshikh is ruining boxing, and I'm gonna be a very happy man when and if the day comes when inevitably the Saudis pull their investment from boxing and all the American promoters actually have to promote the best fights to stay competitive in the marketplace. Because what's happened is, and I've said this many times, I've said fighters, it's good for the fighters, and shout out to the fighters that have benefited from this. It's not all bad. Aji Kabiel has become a star, and he's been afforded a real career because Turki Alalshikh. So it hasn't been bad all across the board. But for the most part, I haven't liked it because fighters don't want to get in the ring now and fight unless Turki Alalshikh is involved. Fighters have a diluted sense of their own worth, right, in the sport and market value in the sport. So they're just relying on the Saudi money, and it's just not, it's not healthy for the sport long term. It's not. Fighters are not trying to eat what they kill anymore, and be marketable and put themselves out there, and you know, all that kind of stuff. So I just feel like everybody got the deserve. Everybody that was involved with this event today, y'all all got what you deserved. And I won't harp too much on that. You know, I've said what I needed to say about Turkey over the years, and even just now. So yeah, Turki Alalshikh also exposed. So I'll leave it at that. Pivoting into Usyk, my second talking point. My thing is this, and you know, a lot of people, Usyk didn't get criticism. Like, let's be real, because Naoya Inoue, who by the way, Naoya Inoue is one of my favorite fighters. He's literally right there on the wall. I got him over there on the wall. He's one of my favorite fighters. He's a big part of this channel's history. But recently, and when I say recently, I mean over the last 2.5 years. Over the last 2 years and some change, I've spoken out about the fact that I want to see him at featherweight. I feel like he's dragging his feet, and people have called me a hater for that, right? Which everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But you know, Inoue has stayed active. He's fought the highest ranked contenders, and he still shows that ambition to at least want to be great in some regards. Usyk, on the other hand, right, he got a pass for taking this fight. Nobody really got on him, and Inoue has been criticized for a lot less. Bivol, sometimes Bivol is getting criticized for fighting Michael Eifert, who's his mandatory and been the IBF mandatory for like 2 years and some change. You know, I see fighters all across the sport who didn't pull this kind of shit, and they get criticized for fighting top contenders, other champions, things like that. So I just think Usyk didn't really get that criticism he should have got. And I spoke about it a little bit in the last live. My thing is this, and I hate saying these kind of things, because at the end of the day, who am I? I'm just a guy with a YouTube channel. Ultimately, I'm not delusional in the grand scheme of things. I have a small voice in the YouTube box community. I have somewhat of a voice in the YouTube box community, but like Oleksandr Usyk is a Hall of Famer. He's all these things. So I don't like telling guys what they should and shouldn't do, because I didn't tell Usyk when to start boxing. So how can I tell him when to stop boxing, right? However, let's call a spade a spade. He's 38 years old. He's already had a great career, and he took this fight specifically for the money. And he took this fight specifically because he doesn't want to fight certain guys in the division. He doesn't want to fight. He does not want to fight a G Cabello. He doesn't want to fight, you know, these guys when he could have fought this guy, right? And so he thought he was taking the easy route, but the easy route actually became the hard route, and it put a blemish on his career. So my thing is, if Usyk doesn't have that ambition anymore to fight the best people, I'm not going to hold it against him, but I do think he should retire. I think once any fighter in the sport of boxing loses that ambition to want to continuously test himself against the best fighters in the world, then it's time to really consider packing it up. Because now, because you had this fight with Rico Verhoeven, where you didn't look great, you were losing. A lot of people thought you were losing, and you got bailed out in a controversial fashion. So now it's gonna warrant a rematch. And now Aji Cabello, who's been doing the right thing. He beat the brakes off Frank Sanchez, and that win has aged gracefully. Beat the brakes off Arslanbek Makhmudov. I think he beat Zhang as well. Like, he's been doing his thing in the heavyweight division, beating the hell out of people, looking like one of the most devastating contenders out there, doing his job in a spectacular fashion, time in and time out. And now he has to wait because you fought a kickboxer and you couldn't do your job in a spectacular fashion. I don't like that. And so for that, I just think Usyk should go ahead and retire. I mean, even if he wants to go undisputed again, like, what? Are you going to fight Daniel Dubois for the third time? Like, all respect to Dubois. True warrior. All the respect in the world for Dubois. I got a lot of time for Daniel Dubois. I love Daniel Dubois. But ain't nobody trying to see Usyk fight Daniel Dubois for a third time. So the unification fights don't make a ton of sense. The Mosley Tama fight ain't big enough yet. Cabello, you know, he's dangerous. That's why he fought this kickboxer guy. It's clear to see that Usyk doesn't have that ambition like he had a year, 2 years, 3 years ago to want to fight the best. And there's no problem with that, because guess what? He's in his late 30s. He's already been 2-time undisputed. He's cleared out weight classes. He's a great fighter. He's going to go to Canastota one day, first ballot in the Hall of Fame, things like that. But it's that time, man. I hate telling fight when to retire, but it is definitely that time because this is a guy. I didn't make any videos about this. I didn't even speak about Usyk versus Rico Verhoeven until my last live, towards the end of that last live. But I never thought my wildest imagination in this day and age of circus fights of the Mayweather McGregor and the Joshua Ngannou and the Fury Ngannou and Jake Paul Nate Robinson, all these kind of fights. I think tonight in Miami they got Lance Stevenson versus Michael Beasley on Brand Risk Promotions. I never thought in my wildest dreams that we would have somebody like Oleksandr Usyk, someone who comes from that really serious, really stoic, really regimented Eastern European, Ukrainian boxing school. I never thought in my wildest dreams he would be the guy fighting a kickboxer in these one-off fights. And I'm not ignorant either, guys. I want to make it very clear. These kind of crossover fights, these have always been a thing in boxing for years. Like going back to the days of Muhammad Ali when he would fight like sumo wrestlers. Muhammad Ali even had signed to fight an exhibition fight against Wilt Chamberlain at the Astrodome in the 1970s, if I'm not mistaken. You know, so these things have always been part of the fabric of boxing, right? But it's just certain guys you wouldn't expect to do these kind of things, and he went ahead and he did it. And I feel like he really put a blemish on what was otherwise a flawless career. So my thing is, if you're not trying to fight the best, if you're not trying to at least fight the top contenders, don't gotta be the best guys in the world, but you know, guys that earn their way up the rankings, like the honest way, honor in the sport of boxing, then I feel like you should really and truthfully consider hanging it up. And I'm saying that not from a place of hatred or anger or anything like that. I'm saying that as someone who is genuinely a fan of Oleksandr Usyk. Like I love Oleksandr Usyk. He has given me so many great things to talk about, and I've had up until today, pretty much his whole career, I've always been, for the most part, satisfied watching his fights, and he's always been worth my time and attention. So I'm gonna genuinely miss him when he is gone. But I don't think that his heart is in it anymore the way it used to be, and that's okay because as we get older, things in life change. Your goals change. I can tell y'all right now, covering boxing on YouTube, my goals in boxing and my own personal goals in my life are not the same now at 31 years old as they were when I was 21 years old. You mature, you get older, certain things happen to you, you go through certain experiences, things change you, and that is okay. It's part of life, it's part of evolving, and I'm not going to hold that against him, but I'm also not going to lie to you guys, the viewers in the sport of boxing, and tell you guys that Usyk is this guy that still wants to challenge himself. He's proved what he's needed to prove at cruiserweight, at heavyweight, gold medalist, all that stuff. It's okay if you bow out gracefully. And I'll just go ahead and I'll leave it at that. But I got like 70 comments. All right. I got 70 comments. Let me go through a couple of these. Let me scroll all the way up and let me go ahead and see what the fine folks in the chat are saying. Hold on. So my man right here, where is it? First BX says, I said you should start the live and go on a Kanye rant. Now they calling you the Kanye. Like I said, I'm taking credit for this. You gotta strike while the iron's hot. Well, we striking while the iron's hot, champ. But no, that the Kanye thing, that's something that I've been saying on Instagram for like the last week or so. I've been saying that I'm the Kanye West of boxing media because I am. People don't know it yet, but I am, in a good way. Turkey ain't giving Leo any payday because of you, BT, and that's okay. We don't need Turkey. We're going to be great with or without Turkey. Unlike a lot of y'all's fair fighters, he don't need Turkey to be great. You know, he doesn't. He's going to be a great fighter on his own, and a lot of y'all will see when the time comes for those big fights. Zuffa has been doing well though, BT. I mean, it really depends. It depends on what your definition of well is. I don't think. I can't really make a judgment on Zuffa Box right now, and I've said this before. I've said this amongst people I know in my personal life, people in the fight game that I talk to, and I've said it in other videos and other lives. I'll say it here again. I'm giving Zuffa Boxing a 15-show grace period before I make any judgments. You know, yeah, I have certain opinions, positive and negative about Zuffa, but I can't make any real judgment because they've only been here for like 7 shows. I'm gonna give them about 8 more shows. See what they're gonna do. See, wait for them to sign some more fighters, and then we can make a judgment about Zuffa Boxing. But I don't know if we can say that they're doing well. Plus, on top of that, and this is just my perspective, it's Zuffa probably won't even operate the same once that bill goes fully through, the Senate, and then Donald Trump passes it. Once it goes to the Senate and Donald Trump passes it, we'll see what Zuffa boxing, how they're going to move, how they're going to progress the sport, if they're going to progress the sport. But I'm giving them a 15-show grace period. So I think right now they're only at 7 shows. So they got 8 more shows. And then when them 8 shows is up, after the conclusion of Zuffa Boxing 15, I will have my things to say. And I'll leave it at that. Let me see. They said heavyweight boxing is different, bro. Rico is a kickboxer, not an MMA fighter. I get it, but still, like you're Oleksandr Usyk. You are supposed to be the man of the era in the heavyweight division, and he still is. But it's not a good look for the sport. It's not. There's no way to really spin it. And I want to make it clear. My issue, my gripe is not Rico Verhoeven. I give all the same way I gave Ngannou his respect when he fought Fury and got robbed against Fury. I give Verhoeven that same respect. Like, it's not easy to get in there. New sport, new discipline. You're fighting a top guy. My gripe is not with him. My gripe is with Usyk for compromising the competitive integrity of the sport and putting himself in a situation from a boxing standpoint. I know he made a lot of money from a boxing standpoint where he wasn't going to ever benefit from this. Let's be real. And then Turkey, just Turkey. People in boxing media are scared to just say what's so painfully obvious, because they're either getting the pockets lined by Turkey or it is what it is. I don't care. Nobody sticks a key in my back. I tell y'all what it is all the time. He did get criticized. Didn't nobody want to see him in this fight? But the thing is, nobody expected Rico to be that good. He didn't. To me, the uproar wasn't loud enough. I'm here on the internet a lot. I watch a lot of channels. I'm very tapped into what people think about fights when they get signed and when they happen. Yeah, there was rumbling. Some people complained about it, but I just don't believe that. Like if Terrence Crawford or Inoue or Canelo or any of these kind of guys, if they took a fight like this, they would get fried. They would get absolutely fried. Rico's been boxing for 15 years. Yes, this is true. He's trained boxing for 15 years, but he's only had one sanctioned professional fight. I don't know how it's not supposed to happen like that. Thanks to Turkey, he saved boxing. How did Turkey save boxing? Some of the biggest stars in boxing and some of the best fighters in the world haven't gotten the fights that they need. Many of the top fighters in the world haven't gotten the fights that they need. Every promotional outfit in boxing, with the exception of PBC, has moved to DAZN, which is a niche network. DAZN doesn't have a big DAZN doesn't have a big subscriber base in comparison to, like, let's say Paramount Plus, which is where Zuffa Boxing is going, or Netflix, right? So how can you justify the sport being saved? Usyk fought 4 heavyweights. He did not clear the division. He fought the guys in the era that were the best fighters of the era. He fought Fury. A lot of people thought that Fury was going to be the guy of the era. He beat him twice. He beat Joshua, another guy, twice. The only reason he didn't fight Wilder because Wilder wasn't there. Otherwise, he would have been fought him. And he still, honestly, for all the shit we talked about the Wilder fight, I would have taken that over this fight because Wilder, at least there's that intrigue of Wilder knocking this guy Spark out, and Wilder was a champion, and he's one of the only guys of the era he didn't fight. He was an American heavyweight. He's actually, let's be real, Deontay Wilder is the only truly, phenomenal, top level good heavyweight we've had in America for the last 10 to 15 years. Every other heavyweight we had that had any hope or promise or hype in the last 10 to 15 years, they've been getting their ass whooped, just belt to ass from Europe, from Ukraine, from the Brits. That's just how it's gone. And I'm upset. I'm speaking I'm speaking from the standpoint of a guy who really is a Usyk fan, like a real Usyk fan, not a fanboy. I'm not a fanboy. I'll tell the truth about Usyk, whether it's good or bad, but a legitimate fan. You know, a guy. You know, he's a guy that I really enjoyed his career. I really enjoy the skills he's shown over the years, and like I said, apart from the Dubois situation, which people still debate whether the body punch was clean, whether it was dirty. Either way, he got up off the canvas after the low blow or the body shot, whatever you want to call it, and he stopped Dubois, right? And he stopped him in a spectacular fashion, right? So even then, he still kind of he vindicated himself and then stopped him again in the rematch, right? So my thing is, I just don't see why he took this fight. I mean, I know why he took it. It's money. We all need money. I get it, and I'm not watching the man's pockets, but it's just like I just never thought it would be him. I never in my wildest dreams thought it could be Usyk, and it's really put a stain on the sport, a stain that didn't need to be there. See, I didn't know you was calling yourself. Yeah, I just said that spontaneously. Great minds think alike. Yeah, look, I'm a big Kanye West fan. Look, I don't know. Look, funny enough, I got my little late registration hat sitting right here. So shout out to Kanye West. I'm a big Kanye West fan. He's a bit crazy. So am I in my own way. But he's a visionary. Kanye's a visionary. He's creative, and I'm very much a visionary. I'm creative. And so I look at myself as more than just the guy who makes boxing content, although I am very good at that. I would like to think so. Yeah. But anyway, I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. Let me go ahead. Couple more comments, and then I'm gonna talk some Inoue because Inoue deserves his flowers on this day. Then media members being scared is the truth. The post-fight interview and telecast afterwards was disgusting today. Well, look, man, I want y'all just to look at it for what it is, and you could call it throwing these people under the bus. I'm not jealous of nobody because I very much love being Brendan Taylor. I love being BT. I love being True School Sports. But I'm just telling y'all the truth. Damn near all of any media that's in Saudi Arabia, they can't say what they want to say. If they say what they want to say, and it's not favorable towards the Saudis, they're putting their life on the line. It's not America. There's no freedom of speech there. There's no constitutional rights in Saudi Arabia. So that's just what it is. BT, can you contact the Zone to get you on? Their commentating and analysis is horrible. A lot of people have been asking me that. BT, could you get on commentary with the Zone? I wouldn't be opposed to it, but like I said, it would have to make sense monetarily speaking, and I have to be able to at least be myself for the most part, which I don't know if they're going to allow me to be fully myself because it's different. And you guys have seen the difference in media when you have somebody who has their own platform, right? And when they have to work for the promoter. So the perfect example I could give you, and he's spoken about himself on his own channel, and he's a personal friend of mine, and he is a fan of True School Sports. I've talked to him on the phone, and I didn't know that he was just. I didn't know that he watched me so much because he was telling me things about myself that you would only know if you really watch me. But shout out to my guy Timothy Bradley, a guy that was one of my favorite fighters when I was a teenager. Big fan of Timothy Bradley. But Timothy Bradley on his YouTube channel is not quite the same as Timothy Bradley we saw on Top Rank. So, I mean, if that was ever a scenario, I would have to really figure out how I would do that. But I'm not against it. I've always said, if anybody calls, if it's the Zone or ESPN or Pro Box, if they ever call and they want some commentating, I've never been opposed to it. It's just something that I've never really been in love with the commentary side of boxing, but again, I'm not opposed to it. So if it made sense and I could work with good people, then why not? Because it seems like a lot of you guys in the chat want to see it happen. A lot of people keep saying, BT, we want to hear you on commentary. I only did commentating one time. The only time I ever did any commentating was back in 2021 in South Florida. Glenn Johnson, the great fighter, the former champion who knocked out Roy Jones and fought Antonio Tarver. I did some commentary for the first show he ever did on the now defunct Road Warrior Promotions. That was it. That was as far as my commentating went. I haven't done any commentating since 2021. So I'm not opposed to it. But anyway, let me pivot into my next talking point. Shout out to everybody here. It is your boy BT, the untouchable True School Sports Empire. This is, in fact, the aftermath of Oleksandr Usyk. And really, true, I don't want to single out Usyk. Oleksandr Usyk and the entire sport of boxing and the entire boxing industry in Turki Alalshikh and the Saudi Public Investment Fund and all them guys. This is the aftermath of all those things I named getting absolutely positively exposed by Rico Verhoeven. Shout out to Rico Verhoeven, man. Rico Verhoeven. See, now what Rico's done, Rico's forced me to have to go research him now and go learn about his career and his life, because now I'm fascinated. He was tremendous today, and I give him all the credit in the world. But because Rico looks so tremendous today, it's not such a tremendous thing for Usyk, and I think it won't change everybody's opinion on the pound for pound perspective, because a lot of people had this guy number one already. But in my opinion, it should make it a more clear, definitive case that the best fighter in the world right now, in terms of accomplishments, in terms of his standing in the sport, it's Naoya Inoue. You know, the most dominant force in boxing today. You know, this is a guy. And yeah, I do like Inoue. I'm a huge Inoue fan. Inoue is a guy that I've covered here on True School. He's one of the most covered fighters in the history of this channel. He might be the most covered fighter in the history of this channel, because I was doing the numbers. I've made roughly 550 plus pieces of content regards to Inoue. So he's one of the most covered fighters in the history of this channel. He might be number one. It's either him or Canelo. They're like number one, number two, him, Canelo, or Crawford, right? Because they've all been great for a very long time. I've had to talk about them in many different ways and many different scenarios for as long as this channel's existed. But Inoue's had like 27 straight world title fights, world championship fights, something like that. 4-division champion, two division undisputed, two-time undisputed. And obviously, yeah, if you compare what he's doing right now, his last 2 or 3 fights, two to 4 fights over, let's say, 2023 in a way, or even when he was at bantamweight back in 2018, 2019. Of course, you know, Ramon Cardenas and Mirza Akhmadaliev and Picasso, that doesn't compare to, you know, Donaire and Emmanuel Rodriguez or Fulton and Marlon Tapales. But one thing about it is, and this is where I'll give Inoue a lot of credit, is 3 things actually. So number one, when he's been the A side of boxing, which he is around those weight class, he's A side versus everybody. Everybody is the B side in a way. He's found a way to stay active to the point where he's probably burned himself out and maybe even sped up the timeline of him having to retire, because he fought 4 times in 1 year. And that's basically staying in training camp for a whole entire calendar year. It's difficult, right? Fighters need time off. They need rest. He ain't do that, right? That's one thing. The other thing is he fought Junta Nakatani, the other young, dominant, young Japanese guy, and did a super fight and sold 50,000 tickets, right? And we've seen instances on our side of the hemisphere where, you know, Terrence Crawford and Terrence Crawford found a way to not fight Jaron Ennis. Canelo Alvarez found a way to not fight Dave Benavidez. And so they didn't want to give those younger guys who are of the same culture and demographic the shot to elevate their name in the sport and be in a real big fight. And so when a guy like Inoue, who, by the way, I'm sorry, Inoue is a bigger star in Japan than Canelo is in Mexico or Crawford is in America. He did all that, and that says a lot about his character and his willingness to fight top competition. And then third, you know, you probably can't even name in Inoue's entire boxing career, you might not be able to even name 3 fights. Maybe you could name 3 fights, but no more than 3. 3 fights in his career where he's lost 3 rounds or more. You know, it's hard. It's very hard to find fights in Inoue's career where he's lost 3 rounds or more. And he probably, I mean, I haven't done the numbers, but I'm pretty sure the number of knockdowns he has is just as close to, or maybe even greater than, the number of rounds he's lost in his entire career. That's how dominant he's been. And it hasn't just been for 1 year. It hasn't just been for 2 years. It ain't just been for 3, 4, 5, or 6 years. We're talking about Inoue being dominant for the better part of more than a decade, because he won his first world title in his, I'm going to say it was his 5th or 6th pro fight against Adrian Hernandez. That was back in 2014. We're talking about 12 years of straight domination at the championship level of boxing. You understand? And like I said, I gave Usyk the slightest of edges over Inoue pound for pound, only because when you factor in Usyk and what he's done at heavyweight, he's fighting guys on a routine basis where he's giving up 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds in size. Fury and Joshua are behemoths, and the fact that he was able to do that with them, on top of going undisputed in a very strong cruiserweight division, and being the only guy besides Holyfield to make that jump, Evander Holyfield, to make that jump from cruiserweight to heavyweight and become undisputed. I mean, he did unprecedented things in the sport of boxing. So even though I like Inoue, I've got Inoue on my wall a couple times in this room. I don't got no Usyk on my wall, right? So I like Inoue more. I'm a bigger Inoue fan. Inoue is such a great fighter that he's the reason why your boy BT, went through the process of figuring out how could I get from South Florida to Japan, and I traveled to Japan, right? And obviously, I never got the chance to interview him, and people still remind me about how that all played out on social media. And I do wish sometimes I would have handled things better, but you live and you learn. But either way, I'm bringing it up to say that Inoue is such a great fighter that he got me to go to Japan, right? He was that damn great. And so I'm not being biased here. I had Usyk slightly ahead of Inoue just because of what I mentioned with, the weight jump from cruiserweight to heavyweight. It's arguably, you could probably say, and I believe it to be the hardest weight jump in all of boxing, because it's a big discrepancy. You go from fighting guys who are 6'2", 6'3", 210 pounds to fighting guys 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", 260, 70 pounds. And of course, weight doesn't win fights, but there's no other scenario in boxing where a fighter is going to have to overcome a 30-pound, 20-pound, 40-pound weight discrepancy. And so the fact that he was able to do that against such high-level fighters, that right there was what gave him the nod to me. But it shouldn't be a discussion. The discussion should end today. If you were having any discussions, they should end on this fine day of May 23rd, 2026. Naoya Inoue is the best fighter in the world. The combination of dominance, accomplishments, activity, which I gotta always highlight that, the activity, and the longevity, all those things should be celebrated, commended, and respected. So Usyk really shot himself in the foot today, because now it's not even a discussion. And now you guys can actually start arguing about, since Usyk didn't do so great against this kickboxer, of course he's more accomplished than Shakur Stevenson. He's more accomplished than Bam. But truthfully, if you want to be honest, if you're using pound for pound, and you're just basing it off of who have you beat, I mean, I think Bivol will have a great case for number two. Bivol beat Beterbiev, he beat Canelo, he beat Zordo, he beat Jean Pascal, he beat Joe Smith Jr. Like his resume is crazy. So I think the pound discussion is a lot more interesting below the number one spot, but now I believe the number one spot really should not be a discussion. Now, if you feel that there are fighters that are better than Inoue, like if you feel that if you feel like Shakur Stevenson is better than Inoue from a skill standpoint, but he just hasn't gotten the fights to get him the number one spot, but you feel he is the best fighter in the world, the hardest guy to defeat, I can't knock you for that. I love Shakur Stevenson. I think Shakur Stevenson is exceptional. Shakur Stevenson is probably one of the only fighters in boxing I have never picked against and will never pick against, because he's that damn good. Whether you like him or hate him or indifferent, he's just that damn good. But for right now, for this moment in time, give that man from Yokohama, Kanagawa, Japan, his just due. He is the best fighter in the world. And obviously I want to see him in certain fights, but today it shouldn't really be a discussion. He says, "Exposed, you're an idiot. Rico is a fighter. He's not some kind of weak guy. I never said Rico was weak. If you've been listening to listening to what I've been saying, anytime I brought up Rico's name, I've never put down Rico. I can't even put Rico down. I don't know enough about Rico, because that's how little I really cared about this fight. I normally when it comes to Usyk or just fights in general, I normally do tons of if it's a big fight like this was propped up to be, you would get videos and shorts and lives and community posts and all kinds of things about this fight, all kinds of content. I didn't talk about this fight till literally today, you know. So I can't make no disparaging remarks about Rico because all I know about him is from what I saw today. And he came in with a great game plan. He was prepared. And it's my gripe is not with Rico. Rico came from another discipline. He challenged himself and he shined bright like a diamond, and he was hard done by the referee. So my heart goes out to Rico, right? My thing is Usyk. It's just Usyk and Turkey and just these fights, man. Shout out to the monster. He never changed throughout his career and still being that guy. I wouldn't say he hasn't changed. I feel like he's changed just a tad bit, but he's still fighting top contenders. He's definitely still fighting top contenders. Facts on Inoue BT. I bet we're gonna see other boxing channels true colors on the monster by those that keep Inoue number 2. I mean, truth be told, I remember when Inoue beat Donaire back in 2019. I thought at that point Inoue was the best fighter in the world at that point in time because Crawford hadn't got the Spence fight yet. Usyk might have been undisputed, but like Inoue was just running through people like nobody else in boxing at that time. So there's been times throughout his career where I thought he was the number 1 fighter in the world. He's always been in the mix, but yeah, like you got to give people his their flowers because this sport, I'm telling you, this sport is hard, guys. This sport is hard, you know, especially when you're at the top, like a guy like Inoue or Usyk or Crawford or Bivol or Shakur. When you're one of those type of guys, everybody in and around your weights, they want to change their life and this family's life off of beating your ass. And so when you're able to beat all these guys who are trying to do that for so long and maintain longevity, that's to be respected. And when you maintain that longevity in a sensational fashion, these guys deserve the respect. Keep it up, BT. If Inoue moves up the featherweight and fights still, it'll be because of you. And you know, I would love that fight. You know, I'm not gonna talk trash about Inoue. That's a fight that I've wanted for. You know, it's funny, and I don't want to make this a whole because I feel like I talk about this too damn much. But people think that like that's a fight that I just now started calling for over the last 2 years. No, that's a fight that I've talked about since before Angelo even fought Stephen Fulton. There's a video on this channel from 2020 of me talking about Angelo Leo being the guy to beat Naoya Inoue from back then, and I haven't wavered at all in that conviction. So if he comes up, it'll be a great fight, and I absolutely love our chances against Inoue. I think we're going to beat Inoue, and a lot of you guys are going to be very, very surprised. But in the meantime, God willing, these unification fights can happen, and we can become the front runner to fight Inoue and earn it the honest way. Because unlike a lot of other people in that division, in the featherweight division, we're honest people, you know, and I'll leave it at that. Shout out to my man right here. He says, hey, BT, I'm hearing Bivol maybe order the fight Callum Smith by the WBO after his IBF mandatory fight. We possibly see Benavidez fight Beterbiev, if not possibly Jai, if not for the politics. Now, I don't think Benavidez or Jai would have a problem fighting each other. Those guys are two, you know, badass fighters that are down to fight anybody, but there's just too much politics, I feel, for that to happen. But hopefully I'm wrong. Beterbiev, to me, even though Beterbiev is old and he hasn't fought in 400 plus days, I still think he's the guy that gives Benavidez the stiffest challenge, because Bivol is a master boxer and it is possible he could tame Benavidez, but let's be real. Benavidez at some point is going to get downhill on you, and you got to have some shit to keep him off of you. And I'm not saying Bivol's pillow-fisted, but I just don't think Bivol has that type of pop to keep Benavidez honest for 12 rounds. Maybe for 5, maybe for 8, maybe even for 10, but not 12. Inevitably, the monster will get to his ass. So for that reason, you need someone that I feel that can power box his ass all around the ring. And I feel like the only guy that fits that criteria is Beterbiev. Now, I'm not going to pick Beterbiev now because I think Beterbiev has too many miles on the odometer, but I still view it as the biggest bet in the division. Now, if it was 2022 Beterbiev, the guy that fought Joe Smith or Callum Smith or Marcus Brown, I'd pick Better BF all day. But it's just, Father Time has its way of wearing people down, wearing the best of them down. I mean, in order for that to happen, that guy who I won't even mention because I mentioned him enough, but that guy you mentioned at the end of this comment, he would actually have to fight Angelo Leo. He had to actually get a contract up and sign it, and he don't want to do that because he tends to fight he tends to fight guys that don't have any real punching power. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. Last thing I'll talk about, last talking point, and then from there I'll just freestyle it because we're almost an hour in. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Definitely take the time to subscribe. We're closing in on that 91K, which means we're definitely closing in on that 100K, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm very thankful to God for just everything over the years that He allowed me to have in boxing. But it's not just a sad, somber day for the sport of boxing because Usyk, who's been one of the premier guys of the era, really just we got an egg on our face today in the sport of boxing, right? But that ain't the only sad thing. And in my opinion, I'll just be honest, I'm not even as sad about that as I am this, because pretty much since the turn of the new millennium, American heavyweight boxing has been damn near non-existent at the top level. It's just been belt to ass from the whole world, from the Brits to the Ukrainians to just any country that's produced a dominant force in boxing over the last 25 years. American Africans, because Bacoli beat the shit out of Jerry Anderson. American heavyweight boxing outside of Deontay Wilder hasn't really been anything too much to brag about. Wilder's been the only American heavyweight really that's been worth his weight in salt in the new millennium. That's just telling the truth, right? And so over the last couple of years, we had Jared Anderson being propped up by Top Rank as the next Riddick Bowe, which I thought was ridiculous. He got his claw clean by Martin Bacoli. And then the other guy we've had also from Top Rank was Richard Torres Jr., right? Olympian. He was the first Olympic medalist at heavyweight from America since Riddick Bowe in 1988 at the Seoul Olympics. And there was hope that in a division that was changing, where some of the older names were fading off, that maybe Richard Torres Jr. could position himself and win a vacant title. All he had to do was beat Frank Sanchez, who, Frank Sanchez is a good fighter. He's been a solid contender for a lot of years, but he's not that far removed from getting his ass beat by Aji Kabiel. And Aji Kabiel has some similarities to Torres, being that he's a physically strong fighter who likes to get downhill on you. He likes to push you back. He likes to really bring the fight right to you. So there was this thought that Richard Torres Jr. could win this fight and be mandated to fight for the IBF title, and possibly it might be a vacant IBF title. But that is not what happened, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, it was quite sad what happened, because it took only about Pops.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on, guys, hold on.
Okay, all right.
So I'm gonna hold that thought, guys. I'm gonna hold that thought because we got a special guest. Now y'all don't ask for him. Y'all ask for him plenty of times. And I'll have Pops come here. Hold on, I'm gonna create a whole new banner right now.
Are you serious?
Hold on, live, because we need to do this properly. Live with Pops. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, because I didn't think Pops was even gonna come on the live today. Yeah. But hold on, roll the chair.
Yeah. Okay,
there you go. So we got Pops here. We got Pops, and he's back by popular demand. And it's funny, Pops, because today is the 1 week anniversary of you being in Virginia. The last time people seen you on this channel, you done ran out on Keyshawn Davis. You said, yo, you being buddy, you being this and you being that.
That's right.
He made a lot of waves. So now he's here. Y'all can talk to him. I'll swing it over to him. Pops, do you have any? I know you didn't watch the fight. Did you watch the Usyk?
No, I just see the controversial stoppage. Boxing is boxing. They always don't want Usyk to lose more money in the. You know what I mean? for him. But at the same time, you gotta give credit to that guy. That guy was coming forward the whole time. That guy was a bull. I think it was. I think it was a little bit controversial stoppage, but this is how it goes with this craziness. But when you fight fighters, world champions from different fucking ballet dancing, from this thing and that thing, and no disrespect, but I don't really want to see a rematch of it, to be honest.
Oh, well, that's probably what we're gonna get, because we you know how boxing operates now. Before because we were gonna talk about Richard Torres. You actually did watch that fight. We'll get that in a second, but I wanna take some time to acknowledge the comments that are for you. They said shout out to Pops for keeping it 100 with Princess Keyshawn Davis, and they said salute to Pops. The goal has arrived, and Chris Maya Jr. says happy belated birthday to Pops.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, sometimes you have to the problem with I was there the whole time, and a lot of times I try to keep to myself. But now, I like, the more I go with my son to these media things, the more I'm going to understand what he's talking about.
They were asking me, they were like, yo, does Pops go to either all the fights? I'm like, no. And a lot of these fighters should be thankful that doesn't happen.
And I have a contract signed with my son. I have to listen to a briefing before I even go to make sure I behave and not make him look bad. We got that when we first got that Norfolk for the media, and I got PTSD. I told myself I can't stay close to this. There's a big clusterfuck here with
a small room, a lot of people,
all the media, and they were looking. I said I need to get in the back, so I sat back and watched some nice, beautiful black woman from Norfolk, Virginia, because there was a lot of them.
It was.
I enjoyed my stuff with that, but I would just say that sometimes whether we ruffle people's feathers the wrong way, or whatever, you have to call it out. You have to call what everybody call out. And what really pisses me the fuck off is the yes men. The yes men are gonna come there and tell me that I said I'm not even talking to you. I don't give a fuck about you. Or any fighter's team that comes to me and want to justify whatever their agenda is for their fighter. I don't give a fuck about that. I'm gonna tell you straight up how it is, whether you like it or not. And that's what happened. And the crazy part was when I did it, nobody really knew me except my son, of course, him and
Jamil Parker from YSF,
because I'm always dogging Boots Edgar big time. And he better win. He's gonna hear from me.
Yeah.
So there were people that knew me. So when I got up there, he looked at me. You could tell he said, "Who the fuck's that guy?" You know, he said like that. But when I started talking, the whole you could see the vibe that
you had to be there.
Turned around, like the whole vibe and everything. They're like, "Who the fuck?" Because you don't want to hear the same fucking repetitious bullshit over and over and over and over. So from all the media kissing ass.
I want to pull the chat. So for those of y'all that see when Pops ask Keyshawn Davis the tough questions, do y'all want to see more of Pops at media events? Do you want to see him there? Because a lot of we got mostly positive responses, and he's not afraid. And the thing about my dad is I like to egg him on and be like, I bet you won't say this. And he'll be like, I bet you I will. Right?
Yeah, the thing is, of course I don't really want to do a lot to reflect my son's channel in a negative way, but if I'm in that room and I hear like, I'll tell you what really pissed me off about Keyshawn, right?
All right, like 2 minutes, we have to go back to the topic. But
Keyshawn was like, when I answered the question, I said, how do you sleep at night? He said,
millions.
I have millions. I don't answer my fucking question. Your money in the bank don't mean shit to me. It's legacy that I'm talking about. And he just looked at me crazy and just shrugged it off like that and said, I'll pray for you, whatever the fuck. But no, anybody, Shakur, if you would have been there, it would have been the fucking 4th of July.
Oh, it wasn't bad.
But anyways, so you have to be honest. You have to call it the way it is, whether they like it or not, and respect everybody's opinion. That's it.
He says, play the question that Pops asked. I don't have the clip in front of me right now, but all you got to do is just it's on the channel. Just go through the shorts. Go about a week ago. You'll see it.
Yeah, egg them on
and the whole chat is saying yes. They want to see Pops some more media events.
You have to go sometimes and say things you don't want to say. Because if we don't, we're not going to get the fights. Number one, and the true feeling of fans, they need a voice to speak for them. And I'm not saying that I'm always right. I'm always right. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying you need that voice out there to say, you know what, I'm speaking for the other half or 95% that don't agree with the fuck you're saying.
Correct.
So that's how it is. But I've always been like that. I say things in black and white, and I guess I'll just leave it there for now.
All right. So you mentioned black and white, Pop. So I know you didn't watch the main event, but you did watch the Frank Sanchez Richard Torres Jr. fight. That was the fight that you were interested in, and that was the fight I was interested in. Richard Torres Jr. was the latest guy as far as the American heavyweight hopefuls.
Yeah.
He would have, this was an IBF eliminator fight. So if he would have won this fight, he would have been in prime position to challenge for the IBF title. And a lot of people were picking Torres. A lot of people thought, Frank Sanchez was slipping a bit because of the Caballero fight. And Frank Sanchez, he took that personally. He took it really personal, and he made sure that he ended this fight quickly and simply and got him up out of there in 2 rounds. So what do you make about Richard Torres Jr., and what do you make about the current state of American heavyweight boxing?
Well, the current state of heavyweight boxing is really shitty right now. That's what I'll say. Straight shitty. We don't have big names that are coming out. Americans coming out here that we can say, hey, this is the next amateur. This is this and what. Because every time we put our finger on somebody, it just never comes out the way it's supposed to. So right now we're in the rot. Put it that way. But eventually everything breaks down in time. Somebody will come up and break that string of us not having a heavyweight. As far as that, as far as the fight, it's the only fight that I was really excited for, to be honest with you. Frank Sanchez reminds me a lot of the other Cuban, Laura. He only fights every so often. He fights a little bit more than Laura, but he's still the same thing. But
in his defense, he's had fights on the table with Philip Hergovich, Mosey Talma, Daniel Dubois, and for one reason or the other, you can call it ducking, you call it avoiding. These guys all decided to go their own path.
Yeah.
So it's not like he. One of the commentators said it best. He's in the who needs him club, right? So he's not a guy that people are going to voluntarily go fight because you're not getting a lot of money fighting him. It's a hard fight. You might lose. Yeah. So I could understand it, but
So I mean, congratulations to Sanchez on that win. I really was going for Torres. I was talking to my son while the fight was going on for a few seconds, and I blinked, and I'm like, "Oh shit, man, this motherfucker's shaking. He's having whatever." And it's unfortunate it happened, but this is boxing. And I was telling my son that when Torres was fighting that round, I said, "Man, he keeps doing that herky jerky shit." I'm not saying that's how he spends his time.
He kept doing that lead hand hands jousting.
I'm not saying that Sanchez time. I mean, Sanchez gave him a clean shot right to the temple, and that was it.
So Pops, now Frank Sanchez, he's now the mandatory challenger for the IBF heavyweight title, and he's a high risk Glory War fighter. Usyk seems like he's in a position now where he feels like he feels content with what he's done in boxing. If we rankings, you got Torres, who he just beat in the eliminator. Right. You got he probably won't fight because Itama already went another direction. Right. And after Itama, you got Joshua, and then you got Jalolov. So you probably don't know a lot about Jalolov. No. But what do you think Anthony Joshua at this stage of his career? You think he goes the Frank Sanchez route? What do you guys think?
I mean, whatever he does, he's gonna do anyways. But I don't. Unless what Josh wants to come back and be.
He's fighting like a bullshit like fight like this. Like he's fighting like some guy
like that same way.
Like some guy that's like a
random guy,
random non-boxer.
Yeah. So he's saying that he wants to come back and he wants to become a undisputed heavyweight. And I'll say it like this: I don't even fucking believe Eddie Hearns because he says he can make shit sound like his goal. So I don't really know if that's really the sentiments that Joshua really wants. And for me, Joshua's done a lot, just like Usyk, and these guys have done more than enough to stay. They can go to the limelight. So whatever they do, they're gonna do.
Yeah, I feel like I'll say it like this. You guys know, and it's no secret. I am the president of the American Philip Hergovich fan club. I like Philip Hergovich. That's a guy I've been high on since I started covering his career here on this channel back in 2019. Philip Hergovich, I think he's probably one of the more interesting guys in the division because he could either fight a Dubois or he could fight a Moses, which I think are the bigger money fights. But this has now become an option because I don't think if Hergovich is ranked what? Hergovich is 9 in the IBF. Now, I don't think anybody because Sanchez is 3. I don't think anybody from 4 to 7, apart from maybe Jalolov. The only guy maybe Jalolov might fight a guy like Frank Sanchez, but I don't know. If it gets to her, that could be a fight that gets presented to him again. Now, Hergovich's manager is Keith Conley. Keith Conley is a very shrewd businessman. That's why he's been funneling all his guys over to Zuffa Boxing for these crazy big contracts.
Sure.
But what do you think? You think what do you think about Frank Sanchez potentially against Philip Hergovich if they were to fight for the IBF title?
That'd be. I mean, It'll be a good fight. I think it'll be a decent fight. I'm still gonna go with my man Hergovich, but you can't count out Sanchez. We see what he.
He was up for this
man,
fight
I thought
today.
Torre's gonna fuck this guy up, man. I was so pumped up. And he had Crop on his side in the locker room. Well, doing all this shit.
They're going viral because there was a clip on Matchroom Boxing's Instagram where Bomac's giving Richard Torres this speech, and I'm like yo, I was ready to like run through a wall, take off my jacket, and run through a wall for Bomac.
You looking ass now,
and Bomac was like, yeah, it ain't about the money gonna come, son. We want the legacy, we want a trophy case, all that stuff, and then bang, 2 rounds, and he was out of there. So, and you know what? I want to say this, man. People are so cruel on social media. I don't normally feel bad for fighters. I don't. But I do legitimately feel bad for Torres because, I mean, Richard Torres is a genuine, like, good guy. He hasn't really been at a level to duck fights or anything like that. So I can't really say he's ducked anybody. There's not really any reason I could even think of to hate on Richard Torres. But nonetheless, I see people all over social media making memes with Richard Torres. Like, I saw one guy put Richard Torres like him laid out like this, but he photoshopped it like on a slide. So I mean, it's just the world we live in now.
I mean, yeah, exactly. You're always gonna get some people laughing at it, this and that. And I would say like this. One loss is not define you. Yeah, you got knocked the fuck out like any other boxers have, but I can still see him, building his career and hopefully get another shot down the road. I don't think that it's the end of the world for him. And why not give him another shot like anybody else?
So for people out there that are keeping score, because all the American heavyweight hopes have lost. So if you're asking yourself, who's the next young undefeated American heavyweight that we might have to look forward to, and that means Price Taylor. Price Taylor is up. Price Taylor, you're on the clock now. Right. You are now the new American heavyweight hope. And look, I like Price Taylor. I had a chance to watch him fight. I don't really look at him as a championship type of fighter, but I think he's a lot of fun. Right. But he hasn't lost yet, and it hits very, very hard. So we'll see how far Price Taylor can go. Hyro makes a great point. You know what? I give credit to my main man Hyro. Hyro, we talking that bullshit, but every now and then we talking that good stuff too. Yeah. He mentioned Joshua Edwards from Golden Boy, U.S. Olympian, good fighter. I would say right now the new American heavyweight hopes for good, bad, or indifferent are Joshua Edwards and Price Taylor. So let's see how far they can go. Yeah. Before they lose, Yeah,
we'll just have to see, cross our fingers and keep our X's and O's crossed.
I want to ask you this, Pops, because I asked this question on Twitter because I actually think that this might be true. Now, my man right here, Christopher, he says Dave Benavidez is America's best heavyweight, and he's not even a heavyweight. Is there any truth in that statement? Do you think it's possible that Dave Benavidez is the best American heavyweight without even being a heavyweight? He's a cruiserweight.
I mean, he's got the power. He's got the style. He's got everything that can make him that it factor for America. So that's being open-minded. Yeah, I like him, but he's a cruiserweight, right?
Well, because his name was floated out there about potentially fighting Usyk. I made a video during one of my last lives about basically how if Richard Torres Jr. got his hands on a belt, Benavidez versus Torres could have been a potential big fight because it's two Mexican Americans fighting for the heavyweight title. That would have been big, Olympian, but
I think that's that boat sailed already. The boat's sailed already for that one. Yeah, but he could be up there for a lot of fights. He's still, besides the debacle with Canelo and this and that, he just got to go on and make his legacy his own legacy. And if it takes him to go into heavyweight and test himself, so be it.
My man Haka Mustang, he's been up a good point. I want to see what you think about this. He says maybe all of our best heavyweights are locked away in prison. USA needs to bring back prison boxing teams. That's what made Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins, benefited from that.
He's got a point.
I think in general, I mean, this is not a discussion for true school sports, but like we know that the prison industrial complex in America, it's funded by certain people profit off the prison system, so it's not beneficial for them to give people help in prison because then you can't fill the prison, you can't make money, right? So my thing is, I'll love for it to happen. I highly doubt that it does, but I'm with you on that 100%.
For sure.
He says, lots of American media are talking up about Benavidez will beat Usyk. I mean, I don't really want to see him at heavyweight because I feel like there's enough fights at cruiser and light heavyweight that
clean out.
that are there that Better Biev, Bivol, Opataya, those are all great fights. If he gets through all those fights, if Atif Overton rises up to the ranks or Najee Lopez or Ben Whitaker, like he's got 3 big fights right now, and he's got another 3 potential 2 or 3 cooking in the crock pot if those guys do their job. So we don't need to put Benavidez at heavyweight. Well, why? Why? Because Turkey got an idea. Does he want to do Benavidez versus?
Yeah.
Does he want to do Benavidez versus Usyk at the Statue of Liberty? Is that the next one or?
Yeah, you don't know what him. Like even tonight we were saying like we do the rematch in the Netherlands and blah 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 blah. Like I sometimes I feel bad for the guys who gotta wait in line mandatory for like the longest and forever. But the fight with that is I would like to see. We've always been talking about what's his name is Kubral, the guy Kabiel from Germany, and he's been waiting his turn. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, give him his shot. At the crown.
He's sitting there waiting for it, so we'll see what happens with that.
Well, man, Fresh BX brings up a great point. He says America's best heavyweight just got finished playing Game 3 of the Cavs versus the Knicks in the playoffs. Knicks in 4.
Yeah, they just Knicks. I guess they must have just won.
Now, my man says that this guy says I'm tripping. He says Frank Sanchez has been an American boxer since he left Cuba many years ago. Just embrace it. I mean, I could embrace it till the cows come home, but ultimately, like let's be real here. He's not going to get embraced as an American heavyweight because he doesn't speak any English. Now, if Frank was smart, if Frank had a guy like BT on his team that was advising him what to do to help him out, I would have been told Frank years ago, yo, learn your English. I remember I told Yugo Osaki. By the way, shout out to Yugo Osaki. He fights in about 7 hours out there in the Philippines. His first fight in a year and a half. We coming for that light flyweight title. But I told Yugo Osaki because he was taking some English classes in the Bay Area when we were in camp. And I told him, I said, look, bro, you're an awesome fighter. I have no doubt you'll be champion. But if you learn how to speak English fluently, you could be the biggest fighter to ever come out of Japan, to really cross over. And so I would have told Frank Sanchez the same thing. You Cuban, you have the whole American dream angle going. Yeah. If you actually learn the language and people can see your personality a bit more through speaking English, you could go far.
There's no excuse either because there's other fighters that haven't spoken English and have come out and actually literally learned the language and speak real good. Canelo, prime example. You got him and so forth and so forth. So I mean, he's been here living off the land for a long time. So if he really wanted to, he can, but he's not.
All right. They got a question for you, Pops. They want to know. Now, you got to clarify. I don't know if you mean top 3, like pound for pound, or top 3 favorite, but he's asking, he says, who is Pop's top 3 current active male and female fighters? So I'm going to say probably your favorite.
Active right now?
Yeah.
Shit, I like a lot of fighters. That's the problem I have. Like, I don't know I would have to say I like right now I got me out guard. Keep my mind.
Marinate on that one for a second. My man right here says, you are a clown, bro. Well, is that what you do with your valuable time? You come here, you watch clowns, you flap your gums and you watch clowns. You couldn't find something more productive to do than watch a bunch of clowns. So what does that say about you, champ? You sitting here watching clowns. Thank you for watching.
I just said let them pay no more to us.
Anyway, let me see.
In the circus.
So I don't ran through all my talking points. Pops, I was mentioning earlier about Inoue because people are getting on your case.
I know. I heard
because in our video,
I know.
We talked about Inoue being number 1 on my magazine. You said that Inoue is not fighting. The guys you feel you be fighting right now. This, down the third. Does Usyk's performance or lack of performance does it give you now a clear? Is Inoue now in your mind the clear number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world?
I mean Usyk's already done his thing. He's already retirement mode. And to be fair, what I meant to say at this point in time, but maybe when I express myself, I don't come out clearly what I want to say. We know that Inoue is a generational talent. What he's done, he's beaten a lot of guys. Every guy he's come from, he's put him out. He's won everything. He's won everything. The belts. He's done this, done that. But my whole point is, okay, I've seen that. Well, the issue that I have now, okay, I'm not talking about what he's done already. I'm proud of what he's done already. Is his father said for him to stay at 120, 122. I think his father told him to retire, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he hasn't fought Bam. He hasn't fought who else?
Well, the Bam thing is new. I don't want to hold Bam against him. That's new. He's probably gonna fight Bam.
Him. Well, I'm still whatever him. And I forgot what other fighters that got in my mind that he should fight.
I mean, the guy. There's all the guys at 126,
yeah.
right?
So I'm saying is, if your legacy is already made in stone, you are a special fighter. But for now, if you sit here and you just want to marinate at 122 and you don't want to do this, you want to do that, I'm not going to give you credit because you don't want to fight the other guys that are waiting in line.
But does Usyk? What I'm asking you is, because Usyk didn't perform today and he looked bad against Kickboxer, does that at least put Inoue over Usyk? Because he never, Inoue, to his credit, he never took no fight against no kickboxers, nothing like that.
Part, yes, because he stuck with boxing. He kept his boxing with boxing. He didn't go do YouTube fighters and this and that.
Because there's plenty of famous kickboxers in Japan that aren't professional boxers that he could have made big fights with.
So I'm not hating. You guys are right when you said that, because I went back and I read the comment and I get what you guys are saying. You're like, Pops, what the fuck are you thinking about? Something wrong with your fucking
that PTSD.
Yeah, that old ass. And you're right what you're saying, that you cannot. I will agree. I've seen that they had him 4P on top. Number one. So yeah, so he is a generation or special talent, and he deserves to be P4C also, because we already know that Usyk got all his problems already. So
Hand Industry wants to know, BT, when is the Zayas versus Boots video releasing? I made so many videos about Boots versus Zayas already.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make some more, but I'm gonna let y'all know this: you are not getting a prediction out of me for that fight, because I said that's the last slide, because I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what, this fight with Boots and Zayas, I'm not sure if I'm covering it yet or if I'm gonna go as a fan, but I'm going to be there. And you know, it's not too often we get two guys in their 20s, albeit one guy's in his later 20s and one guy's more early 20s, but still, it's not often in this era of boxing where you get two guys undefeated in their 20s doing a big unification fight in a big arena, right? In America. It doesn't happen as much. So you know what? I don't want to pick nobody, because when you make these picks, you got to be married to your pick, and it just gets annoying. So I'll give you all the strengths and weaknesses of both guys, and I'm just gonna enjoy the moment. I'm making that decision for this fight. I'm not picking Boots or Zayas this fight. May the best man win. I know people from both teams, both camps. I'm a fan of both fighters. May the best man win. If y'all want to make predictions, I'll read y'all's predictions, but I'm not making no predictions. I'll keep that to myself for this fight.
I mean, probably, and if you guys use the logical reasoning, a lot of people are going to come to this fight. They're going to pick Boots to be the favorite coming in. That's just the reality. Let's be real.
Yeah.
We got Zayas has done a lot coming in here to take a big fight like this with Boots, and he's not afraid to lose that. He's done a lot. He called out everybody, and he's going to take that loss. So you got to give him respect for what he's doing. And for Boots, I'll be honest with you, I'm not wrong with Boots, and I've said this before. I've been dogging him out. YSM, I'm telling you, I've told you before, he's a talented, skillful fighter. But to me, he hasn't answered the bell with the best.
Well, he's getting his chance, though.
Right.
So respect to him and Xander stepping up to the plate, making a fight happen. But yeah, I'm going to say it.
That's why I say that. And then one more point is, and another thing is, I'm tired of all the Philly fans just tooting their horn for every fucking fights. I'm tired of him saying, every division he goes through, I'm the one here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take over. Now you're the 154. So I want to see what you're going to do there.
Yeah, and I'm going to say it probably 577 more times before the fight. I'm not making a prediction. You're not going to get one.
No.
You will not get a prediction out of me for this fight.
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy the fight. I'm going to do my content. I'm going to cover it. If I can get an interview, like it's my interviews, do all that stuff. But
I'm telling you, he's the favorite going in. I'll tell you that right now. I know he's probably the favorite going in, but I'm not fucking sleeping on
Xander?
No, because Xander is strong, young kid. He's hungry. He might not be as fast or have speed like Boots, but as Boots will go over 12, going over a 12-round title fight before?
Not this level.
Not this level. So, and a lot of people are saying that this is probably one of the best fights for Boots he'll have on his resume. But Boots he already vacated his belt. He already got his plan, and all Philadelphia got a plan. He's just gonna walk over Xander, and he's gonna win.
But if he does, I'll take if he do walk through Xander, hell of a statement. Yeah. My man right here has been asking this comment a couple of times, so I want to answer it. He says, and it's a Japanese boxing question. Shout out to everybody here who supports the Japanese boxing coverage. That's some of like the most meaningful work we do here on True School Sports. So thank you guys for that. But my man says on June 10th, Chairman Hideki Ohashi is having his 4 super rookies fight. Those 4 are Raito and Tomu Katakoa, Yuta Sakai, and Yuga Fujiki. What are some things we could expect from those guys in the future? Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. When it comes to the Katakoa brothers, a lot of people have been asking about those guys. I haven't taken the time to watch them yet, but I'm hearing good things. But I don't have like a big opinion because I haven't watched it for myself. So I'm not gonna lie to you about those guys. When I do, and I put the video out, you'll get your opinion there.
Sure.
But as far as Yuta Sakai and Yuka Fujiki, I can't talk about those guys because I've watched them and I've watched them diligently. I love Yuta Sakai. I think that he is going to be the face of Ohashi Boxing Gym in the post Naoya Inoue era. He's going to be a world champion. I think he's a very educated southpaw boxer. And as far as Yuga Fujiki, another good fighter. Some people are saying he might be the best young talent from Japan, maybe even since Inoue. I'm not ready to put that on him yet because that's not fair to anybody from Japan. And truth be told, I don't even think that he's the best Yuga from Japan. The best Yuga from Japan is fighting in 7 hours. That's Yuga Osaki. But nah, Fujiki's good. What makes him an interesting talent in Japan is that he's not competing in the weight classes that are traditionally dominated by Japanese fighters. He's not fighting at light flyweight or bantamweight. He's gonna be at 130, 135, 140. Yeah. So there could be potential big fights in the futures against the Americans, against the Brits. And so because of that, he's getting a lot more fanfare, a lot more attention, and a lot more looks because of the fact that he's looked at to be one of the few fighters that could actually be something very notable above the featherweight limit, which traditionally in Japan, they've had guys in the past break through above featherweight, but it's normally featherweight on down because Japanese people aren't very big to begin with. So let me see. If you pick Zayas, Boots fan will harass you to death. It's both ways. I mean, both. I don't care. I just want to. A lot of times, guys, you're not sitting in this chair, so like it's annoying. Sometimes you can't even enjoy the fight and the moment for what it is because you want to be right. And I for this fight, I don't give a fuck about being right or wrong. I don't care. And so, therefore, I'm not going to talk about it. I will break the fight down. I'll read your guys' predictions, but I'm going to keep my prediction to myself. Now, Hyro. Now, I didn't talk about it too much because it really wasn't much more talking about. Hamza Shiraz, he did win the WBO title on the undercard of this card. He fought some guy's name I can't even remember. While we were so you know how I was telling you,
white dude.
Yeah, we went to go eat. And I was like, this fight ain't nothing. I'm gonna go to Tropical Smoothie Cafe. I'm gonna get me a blueberry bliss smoothie with a Santa Fe chicken quesadilla, and I'm gonna enjoy my lunch. And I was, I didn't watch anything, and so I came back, and the fight went literally how I thought it was gonna go. 2 rounds. Wow. He literally hit the first body shot that Hamza touched this guy to the body with.
Good night.
That was it. So congrats to Hamza on becoming world champion. A lot of people in Hyro's in the chat flapping his gums because he's saying the reason this fight happened is because Diego Pacheco ducked the fight. He didn't want to fight Hamza Shiraz because we know what Hamza would have did to him. Now, yeah, he turned down the fight. He did duck the fight. I agree with that. He did duck the fight. But let's not act like Hamza beat Diego Pacheco. He beat whoever the fuck this guy was today. So in due time. Well, he's with
McGirt now, so God
we can we'll see what's what. But yeah, it's unfortunate that this is what Hamza had to fight to get a belt. I know Carlos Adames has spoken about going to 168. Supposedly, I don't know how familiar you are with the IBF champion Osalisa Iglesias, the southpaw, the Cuban.
No,
but he's like the new David Morrell. He's the high risk, low reward Cuban that no one wants to fight. And so Adames is actually in negotiations to move to 168 and fight Iglesias for the IBF belt.
Oh wow!
But if for some reason, if those negotiations should fall apart, you now have the unique scenario where Adames could do the rematch with Shiraz for the title, so that would be interesting. What do you think about potentially Adames versus Hamza Shiraz?
I love that.
Yeah,
I like Adames. I've been a big fan of Adames. I just think people always doubted him or didn't think he's as good as he really is. I think he can crack. I've always liked him. He got 10 brothers, 15 brothers, whatever he got. He needs to kick ass and beat them motherfuckers. But I don't think wasn't it a close fight that he lost against
Shiraz?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people feel like it wasn't a close fight and that he should have got the decision.
Okay.
But they gave it to Shiraz because we know that
the names of the
Turkey likes Shiraz, right?
Yeah.
So
but I like to see that rematch. I really would.
I feel like people have short memories on Shiraz because I feel like if you really look at what has Hamza done, and this is why I'm so big on the two things I've learned over the last 2 years in boxing has been that media perception, like in the way media covers you plays a big perception in fighters, and matchmaking plays a lot because really, if we're being objective here, Hamza really hasn't done shit since he beat Adames. He beat Edgar Berlanga, who a lot of you guys don't rate that highly. And then he beat this guy who some people say is the worst world title challenger of the 2020s. So he hasn't really done a whole lot. And I'm not trying to put down the Edgar Berlanga loss because my dumbass thought that Edgar had a chance. But a lot of people don't even like to say that Edgar Berlanga was good and that Edgar Berlanga was anything because he's a reggaeton artist now, right?
Yeah, man, he's singing now.
He's singing,
Fucking Fat Joe.
Hey, baby mama. Hey, baby mama.
Yeah.
But like he hasn't really fought anybody too crazy since he won the belt. So my thing is like Hamza's getting all this hype. Yes, he can fight. Yes, he's good. But like y'all making him out to be the British, Pakistani Tommy Hearns.
Yeah, I think he's got to be tested with some bigger fighters. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. You're right. I forgot about that fight. Thank you for reminding me. He did knock out Emma Williams. But again, you named another guy who a lot of people, even before he lost, he's one of them guys because every now and then you'll get a guy in boxing who, before they even lose, people was already saying like, yo, he ain't really much, right? So yeah, he did beat Ammo. I give him credit for it. I thought it was a good win. But I just remember I remember after that fight, going on Twitter, reading my comments, and seeing people saying, well, Ammo ain't that good.
As good as he is, and I'm going to go back to Your Excellency, right? He said he can make all these fights, right? So why is he making Ahmad Shiraz fight all these I'm not gonna say cans, but I'm gonna say they're not fucking to the level it's supposed to be. If he's really as fucking good like you say he is, put him with the motherfucker who you can put him with, because you can make any kind of fights you want. So get him up there and see what it's all about. I mean, I don't want to hear nothing about this guy. He won one big fight, and the whole world thinks he's all this.
I think he's good. I'm not saying he's not good. He's a good fighter, but I just feel like he's getting that killer label, and he ain't really done anything to be a killer, in my opinion. But that's just me. Now we got a late birthday wish for you, Pops, from my main man Eric Bro. He says, "Oh, True School Sports, higher 58 birthday to Pops in a couple of weeks. I will turn 58.
God bless you.
Yeah, we have been through a lot over a half a century, but enjoy this one, my man."
That's right, man. Well, Brian's gonna enjoy it when he go to Miami. So,
can't talk about that, Pops. We can't talk about that. We can't let know everything going on.
Yeah.
But Hyro was getting on my case because one thing about Hyro, he don't like Diego Pacheco. He can't stand. He's been preying on Diego Pacheco's downfall for at least 3 to 4 years now.
Man, I will say this. I'm big on
and Hyro has a hard on. He has a hard on for these tall, lanky fighters. But the one with tall, lanky fighter that I actually like,
you don't like.
He like, oh well, no, he's trash, right? So he says, I mean, you aren't objective when it comes to Shiraz. I don't give a fuck about Shiraz. I just tell you what it is. He ain't really fought no one. Outside of who is he fought to get this killer label?
I like Hyro.
And then you said Pacheco went 12 rounds with Steve Nelson when Reiko Centeno killed him in 1 round. Fair enough, but when have you heard me go around Hyro and say that I think Diego Pacheco is this murderous knockout puncher? When you hear me break down Diego Pacheco's style, I always tell you his boxing skills is the main thing.
One thing that he always says about Diego, out of the class that came out of there, he's one of the best ones out of that class. You always say Diego's one of the guys that come out of whatever class. You always talk with the other guys.
Match him.
Yeah, match him. So that's what he's saying. But Harold, you know, you just like to get underneath BTC.
He likes to see how far he can go.
You better stop poking the bear.
He likes to see how far he can go before I block his ass.
Yeah.
People who watch me, they know.
Yeah.
Hyro says Pacheco went life and death with the Argentinian in old middleweight, Steve Nelson, and a lackluster Kevin. Bro, all them guys you named, Kevin Lesajo, Steve Nelson, even Sulecki. Those guys are all on a higher level than the guy that Shiraz just won the world title from. All those guys would give belt the ass on that dude.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you're going on about.
Does he like? Is he a big fan of Morel Jr.?
He used to be, not anymore.
What happened there?
He saw the truth.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, he is a big fan of Shiraz, and he's a big fan of Munguia, and that's a fight that might be in play now because you got Munguia with the WBA, you got Shiraz with the WBO, unification fight.
Let's go. Yeah.
What do you think about Shiraz versus Munguia kind of fight?
I never really. I'll be honest with you. Even you gave him this flowers his last fight. To me,
Munguia was amazing his last fight.
Fuck Munguia. I'm tired of fucking bullshit. That guy's had bigger fights, and he just been, to me, he's been babied all along through Golden Boy. So if he has to fight, what's his name? Shiraz? Be a good fight. We'll see what he does.
Who you leaning towards that fight?
I like. Fuck Munguia.
You think Shiraz has the experience to do it?
No, he doesn't experience. He doesn't have the experience. But I hate fucking Munguia because he's been protected for so long. When we have some big,
he beat a good fight last lap. He beat Resendiz, Armando Resendiz, a guy.
I mean, he's to be honest, he's beat a lot more decent fighter than Shiraz and this and that. But
he should be. He's been around longer than Shiraz.
He's got all the experience in the world. So yeah, but I'm not one of them. Fuck him.
Now shout out to Johnny. You know, we got one of the key members of Team Leo in the building, the pride and joy of all Las Vegas. He says, "You know how I feel about all these sports, BT. They're rigged just like the NBA." And boxing is being infiltrated by these higher ups. You about to start seeing a lot more upsets in boxing like you do UFC.
Oh man! Even what you saying? Like even if the guy's favorite, it's gonna be a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm not really a fan of that UFC bullshit. The way they do, the super boxing and all that, and this and that. So, like even tonight, fucking. Excellent gets up there. He says, we're going to make a rematch with this. We want to do this. We got Carvell there. We got this and that. I'm just so fucking tired of the bullshit. Let the motherfuckers fight. Let all the best to the best. I don't want to. Some cards, I think we were watching yesterday. We're talking about this. Brandon says that. Watching this card here, but people will pay for this when it should have been a better card. Oh, yeah. The card tonight.
I was saying, I was saying that
they,
as far as the presentation with the pyramids in the background, they knocked it out the park. Yeah, they did a great job. The fights just didn't match the stage that they were on.
No, and that's the whole thing. Like, it's time for the boxing and all this get all this done. Now I don't know how this is gonna work with all these fighters jumping the gun and going to Supra. I don't want to get to the whole discussion, but I'm saying like. How is Avatar gonna fight Benavidez if he's over there and this and that?
Well, there's a bunch of semantics going on. This is why, guys, this is why I'm very eager for like this era of like the Saudi just be out of boxing because like people are like, well, like people who are pro Zupa are like, well, you know, Jaya Pataya, he could fight Benavidez on a ring card. I'm like, listen, man. And they start talking about how ring is different than Zuffa. Like, look, ring, Zuffa, Riyadh season, Selah, it's all the same shit. It's all the same thing. You know, it's all the same thing. So I'm hoping it can be done with, man, because I feel like it's making things more complicated than it really needs to be.
Well, I think like what they're doing. At first I thought for boxers didn't get a chance, it was great, but I don't like they're getting all the stars now, and they're signing for these big fights. Like fucking Ben got. I didn't even know that. I found out the other night when I was betting at the fights. Ben got $15 million for that fucking fight.
The fight we just spoke about. Yep.
He never has a belt. Hasn't been a champion.
Changing the game.
Get the fuck out of here. So, but, I mean, and Super. All they really want to do. Super. All they want to do is prove. Dana White just want to prove all these promoters wrong. So he's trying to take everybody to fuck you. I did it my way. I did this. I did that. And at the end of the day. Boxing should just go back to his old self. Fuck Sufra. Fuck Alalshikh. Fuck all that bullshit out there. We don't need that. We don't need them. And every time I see that, I don't feel this. I don't feel the same vibe. Like when you watch a fight sometimes
on TV or
you don't see even. I mean, you'll see the stars sitting there, and then you see like 50 rows just empty, and this and that.
You went to Virginia. They had a pretty good atmosphere.
Oh yeah, Virginia was nice. Virginia was nice.
The Keyshawn fight, like
I feel like, but that was American. That wasn't fucking
boxing. Boxing needs to have atmosphere at the fight.
You gotta have that vibe. You gotta feel that vibe. When
part of the game.
You're gonna go with the fucking camels are there, and all you're gonna see is camels in desert, fucking weeds or whatever, and you think you're doing great. There's no vibe to it. The announcers are fucking dried in the fucking desert. You gotta have that lively A lot of commentators said that. Reporters said that.
Yeah, the ones that speak the truth.
Yeah.
My man says more fighters need that Munguia baby because not everybody develops in 15, 20 fights. And I agree with that to a point. I mean, that's why you have managers. I mean, the point of a manager is to know the fighter and manage them and protect their best interest, right? And not every fighter, you're right, not every fighter develops the same way. But there's a fine line because when that fighter is constantly the number one contender and is in position to fight the champions, the interim champions, things like that, and he's always finding a way to go another direction, that's where it becomes ducking. Yeah. You understand? So, right. I mean, fair play to Munguia. Munguia has become a name in the Mexican boxing community. He's champion again. So, I mean, I guess you can say their management of him paid off. But as a fan, I wanted to see him against certain guys he didn't want to fight them.
Yeah, and to be fair, as much as even Munguia, how you dog him out too, a lot of times, a lot of fighters do want to fight, have the big fights, but it's the managers that hold them back. So, it's like a catch-22. You know what I mean? Like, we want to see all these big fights, but then the fucking managers' perception said, no, you're not fighting this, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. So we have to, they're part of the problem too.
Hanish Revolt says, Pops, thanks for answering my questions. BT been ducking my questions. What questions have I ducked? Let me see.
So that's how I see that.
My man right here says, I'm gonna keep saying it. Tank was right about this whole movement, and I've been agreeing with Tank during the whole time.
Yep.
You know, the whole time I've agreed with Gervonta Davis about this subject. So I've been right there with him. Me, Tank, and Sean Tatel have all been telling you guys the same thing about Saudi Arabia for a long time now. Real Old Dan says, BT, are you familiar with the Albanian sniper of Miami? He just upset Bakary Samaki. I did not see that coming. Yeah, Ermaj Hardy Besh. Yes, I'm very familiar with him. In fact, in 2021, the only time I ever did any sort of ringside commentary at the Road Warrior promotion show, and Pops actually was there too. Pops did commentary too. Yeah, we commentated one of his fights like back in early 2021.
Yeah.
And so good for him. He's been a guy that's been pounding the pavement for a long time in the South Florida gyms. I know he used to spar Pistol Pete Dobson a lot at one of the gyms I used to go to. And good for him. He's now Sebastian Fundora's mandatory challenger. You remember that guy? Remember you probably remember him. They used to call him the Sniper. He was an Albanian guy. Yeah, we commentated his fight, and he just became Sebastian Fundora's mandatory today.
That's crazy.
So good for him. Yeah, familiar with him. Like I said, experienced guy.
Yeah, he's gotten
a lot of good work over the years. I'm pretty sure he's even sparred with Xander because he's been up and down South Florida sparring guys. So Pete Dobson, Xander. I think he might have sparred Eric Tudor a little bit. Good for him because I know he's put in a lot of work over the years.
I know this is off the subject, but I gotta say, if you all want feel real vibes in your heart and a real champion in your heart, and you want to feel the feeling of what it is to be a champion, you all better go cop that shirt from Angelo Leo at the store.
AngeloLeoapparel.com. Go run it up.
Just joking.
Run it up. Munguia has been around a top contender and still ain't provided his worth as a top champion caliber fighter. Not even when he had the 154 title. You out of here?
Yeah.
All right, so
guys, take care. I gotta go. God bless you all. Keep supporting this channel. Love you all. Bless your family. Always do good to everybody. No hating, just appreciating.
There you go. So that's gonna go ahead and conclude the pop segment of the live. Shout out to everybody here rocking with your boy BT. We still got like what 15 minutes till we get to the 2-hour mark. So I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna answer y'all's questions. So if y'all got anything, if there's any questions that y'all are saying that I'm ducking or that I don't want to answer, you can feel free to ask them because I'm gonna be here for at minimum at least 15 more minutes. Now, my man Hyro, he asked, BT, who do you got in the fight between Liddell Haskell Rhodes and Antonio Bang Williams? Now, that's on a brand risk card. I think Hyro, is that card today? Is Michael Beasley versus Lance Stevenson today? I might go check that out. But honestly, Liddell Rhodes. I'll lean toward Liddell Rhodes because Antonio Bang Williams was at one point in time, he was a very promising prospect coming out of the South Florida area, but he just never lived that life of a fighter. So I feel like, he's had a habitual way he's lived for a bunch of years. Most of the time that doesn't change unless something dramatic happens enough to a fighter and they really want to change. So I'll go with Liddell Rhodes, but it'll be a cool fight. I'll probably check it out, If Tank wasn't popular enough to do diva shit, he would fall right in line just like the rest. Yeah, possibly, but he's lucky that he's blessed that Floyd Mayweather he's blessed that Floyd Mayweather gave him that cosign many years ago. I feel like BT. I feel like how BT treats Hyro now. I treat Hyro exceptional. Hyro normally gets a phone call damn near after every live. I don't know. I don't know why Hyro be complaining and moaning and crying. Hyro always gets top treatment, But shout out to everybody here. This is the aftermath of Oleksandr Usyk versus Rico Verhoeven. We're trying to make sense of this. We're trying to make sense of, how this affects the fight game moving forward. We're trying to figure out just a lot because, obviously a couple years ago, Francis Ngannou had that fight with Fury where a lot of us, myself included, thought he won, but this is Usyk we're talking about. This is a guy that's been the consummate professional, been the man of the heavyweight era. And, I didn't think he'd have this kind of lack of performance today. So it is a blemish on what's been a pretty much unblemished career. Tank kept Floyd relevant for a while after time. If we're being real, he did. That Floyd cosign is what gave Tank that extra push that Shakur Stevenson didn't have, Devin Haney didn't have, and of course Floyd has a relationship with those guys, and he's talked good about those guys in certain moments in time. But when Tank knocked out Jose Pedraza and they did a post fight interview, and Jim Gray asked Floyd, is this the face of boxing? And he said, absolutely it is. And that's when Tank got bigger. That's when you started hearing rappers use Gervonta Davis names in songs. That's when things really just changed, and that's carried him. That's carried him for all these years, And we all criticize maybe the promotions for how they moved Tank, but they put him in there. They put him in there with like featherweights, and he knocked them out in sensational fashion. And the casuals that don't watch boxing every day, that aren't clued in on the weight classes and this, that, and the third, they don't see that he gets cherry picked the featherweight. They just see that he knocked someone out, and they were entertained, and they now know they knew who Gervonta Davis was. So that all that has served him well all these years later, and still being relevant. And for those reasons, that's why he's still going to be popular when he decides to come back. Man, Richard Torres disappointed me, but he needs to start over again and fight better heavyweights. I agree, man. Like, Top Rank is some of the best in the business at matchmaking, but let's be real. They put Torres in for the longest time with a bunch of cans, a bunch of no-hopers. And you can do that in other weight classes. You can do that at welterweight. You can do that at featherweight. You can do that at lightweight. Whatever weight class you want. But at heavyweight, things are different. There's that one punch factor. Everybody has a chance in the heavyweight division because of that one punch factor. And at heavyweight, you either are the goods or you aren't the goods. And you got to put your guys in to prove that they are the goods. Because if you don't, and you put them in a fight like this, they could get found out. So I'm with you 100% on that. Oh, he's saying it worked both ways. Tank kept Floyd relevant in boxing long after he he did because Floyd had to go to his press conferences and talk, and I agree with that. I mean, I remember when I was attending, because I went there when Tank fought Leo Santa Cruz at the Alamo Dome. I vividly remember seeing Floyd ringside and all that stuff. So I would agree. And he says, speaking of featherweights, if Leo can beat a top 10 lightweight, he can get a Tank fight. LOL, big opportunity. I mean, it's not a bad idea, honestly. It's not a bad idea. We know Tank likes, and they know each other. They sparred. Angelo sparring Angelo in 2017 when Angelo moved from New Mexico to Vegas. He sparred Tank right in front of Floyd Mayweather at Mayweather Boxing Gym. And Floyd liked what he saw so much that he signed Angelo Leo not too long after that sparring session. So there's definitely a history there. I wouldn't be against it. That's real pound for pound stuff. That's a big fight, but we have to evaluate all the options. I want to be real with you. Unless your name is Floyd or Manny, I don't respect cash cows. Them dudes beat the odds to earn it. These other guys just got maneuvered. I agree with that. You know what? I would agree with that because it just feels like everybody that's ever been a big name in boxing. So, and I mean everybody. I'm talking about anybody you could possibly name. And I don't give a fuck if you like them or not. Anybody who's been a cash cow in boxing, they've all been kind of maneuvered and made champion. Like they didn't, like you know how we say, you know how Angel Garcia said you have guys that were made champion and you have guys that became champion. There's a distinct difference between the two. And I just feel like, yeah, a lot of those guys that have been cash cows, they've been made champion. They didn't become champion. Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao was putting on pound for pound performance after pound performance against, you know, top upper echelon guys. You know, before Manny or Floyd could become divas and duck people and maneuver and do whatever they wanted to do, they had to beat the shit out of Eric Morales and Diego Corrales and De La Hoya and just all types of killers. You know, but that it's not. That's a whole different time in boxing. You know, that we're talking about a time 20 plus years ago. The world is different. Boxing is different, but I'm with you, champ. I feel like I feel like I've been saying it a lot recently because I feel like I have to, because there's so many fighters in boxing, and you know, being someone that, you know, I go to a lot of the top gyms. I'm exposed to a lot of things that are not on YouTube, and you know, being part of the camp of one of the current champions who I've seen go through a lot of bullshit in his career behind the door that I don't talk about because it's not the time to start talking about it right now. But I know the clear difference between a guy that was made champion and a guy that became champion, and to me, that's one of the realest quotes anybody's ever given. Like, for example, and I want to clear this thing up. Just because a guy was maneuvered into position to be champion and was made or made champion by the promoters, like they got favorable circumstances to become champion, it doesn't mean they're not good. It doesn't mean they're not talented. It just means that every fighter has their own different path. So, for example, a guy that I think is very talented, who I think is going to be champion here in the next, you know, 6 to 10 months, is the guy who just fought last night, Amari Jones from the Bay Area. Good fighter, talented, big, long, can punch, can switch, speed, balance, has a lot of good tools in the boxing ring. But he's in the weakest weight class in boxing right now, and he's been getting all the right fights at the right time. And he's going to be made a champion. It is going to be a coronation. He probably is not going to fight nobody that great in his first fight to win a title. You know, I want to see him fight Jahai Tucker, but Jahai Tucker, in comparison to some of the opponents that other guys got to fight to win their first world title or win a world title, it's just different, right? So he's like, you got to know the difference. And it's not to put guys down. It's not to say that they can't fight, but it's just that the boxing industry has fighters that they pick. They say, okay, this guy's a superstar, and we're going to make sure he becomes a superstar by any means necessary, right? And then you have guys that fall through the cracks, but get put in very tough and fight their way into real relevancy. They got to do 10 times as much just to get the same recognition that the guy that was made champion got. So there's guys I can name like that as well throughout boxing, but it's important to know the difference. Shout out to Sam Greer. He says, "Sup BT? Has anybody seen the gym janitor Anatoly that goes around lifting people's heavyweights like it's nothing?" That's what Rico with his one boxing fight reminds me of. Rico did his thing, man. I'm really I was impressed by him. He did his thing today, and I can't say nothing bad about him. My anger is not at him. You know, all he's doing is making money and challenging himself and trying to get the best out of his own life. But it's more like Usyk and just this. It goes back to a lot of things that I've said about Turkey and Saudi's involvement in boxing and these kind of things. So yeah. They said that this is the final nail in the coffin. Someone who loves this sport to someone who now hates it. I mean, I remember people said that when Ngannou fought Fury and he had a bad, you know, performance against him, and then Joshua came and knocked him out. It's terrible. I don't like it, but I'm not gonna say it's the final nail in the coffin, because guess what? The good thing is the fight was on DAZN, so a lot of people didn't get to see it because it was on DAZN. Now, if boxing was actually if boxing was ran to the best of its abilities, and this fight was on a big platform and not the zone, then shit, then I might have to agree with you. But it was on the zone, so we might be all right. We might be okay. Yeah, Shiraz. Shiraz is an example of that. He's talented. He's good. He can punch, but he didn't become champion. He was made champion. You know, he got this fight against this guy. I know Pacheco didn't fight him, but they could have found him somebody better than this whoever the fuck this guy was. You know, so yeah, he's an example of that. Caballero needs a shot. If he needs a shot that if Usyk beats him, which is questionable, then I think Turkey should have Usyk versus. Yeah, it'd be fine. I'm not against I'm not outright against a Rico Verhoeven rematch. I'm not so much for it at the expense of IG Caballero having to wait, because again, going back to the conversation about becoming champion and being made champion, he was a guy. Caballero. Listen, guys, I remember Caballero's name. I remember going to make videos about Anthony Joshua back in like 2018, 2019, and I would see his name in the articles all the time. Caballero in play for Joshua, right? But he had a hard time getting fights for a long time, and he's been probably one of the biggest beneficiaries of Turkey's involvement in the fight game. And Aji Caballero, really and truthfully, is a guy that has fought his way legitimately, the honest way into contention. He beat Makhmudov when he was looked at to be something. He beat Sanchez. I think he beat Zhang, if I'm not mistaken, as well. But don't quote me on that last one. I can't remember. But either way, he's being legitimate guys to become where he's at in the sport. And so he's earned the shot. In Turkey, if he loves the sport like he says he does, he needs to honor that. Hannah Revolt wants to know, BT, why was Yuga Osaki out for so long? I forgot. Oh my God. You want to open up the can of worms. So Yuga was out when I was in camp with Yuga last September. He had they just announced it in the media that he signed a contract with All Star Boxing, but he got that contract back when I was in camp with him in September. I literally saw him sign it right in front of me. You know, so he signed his contract with All Star Boxing. All Star Boxing, they do a lot of business with Mr. Honda. So basically, if you're signed up All Star Boxing, you get a pathway to work with Tekken Promotions and Mr. Honda. A lot of Japanese fighters signed with All Star Boxing, like Shokichi Iwata, Mikita Nakano, even Rene Santiago, who's a current unified champion. He signed with All Star Boxing, right? So they have a lot of control over what goes on in a lot of weight categories. But there was a big discrepancy on a couple of fronts. Yuga's old gym in Osaka, Japan, Taisei Boxing Gym, they wanted an insane release fee for him, and they had to maneuver through that. And then on top of that, there was an issue with his paperwork, and the Japanese Boxing Commission needed to clear him for something, and that took forever as well. So they just now, over the last couple of months, have gotten that all worked out, and that's why he's fighting again. But just it was a whole complication of things, and the kid went through a lot in camp. I remember seeing how demoralized he was when he couldn't fight for the eliminator, and that's what it is. So we don't really talk anymore. But we still do follow each other on Instagram. He still likes my posts sometimes, and he watches my stories. But we haven't really spoken since camp, so I don't know how he feels about your boy BT these days. But regardless of how he feels, I'm still going to support him, and I want to see him win, and I want to see him do well, because I love Yuga as a fighter, as a person, and I think he's got the potential to be someone very special in the fight game. So yeah, it was a lot of stuff. It was a whole lot of stuff. Hyro says, Yoel Mejia Mosquera deserves a shot against Anthony Olasquaga, and you're the guy who is about fighting in mandatories. Well, inevitably he should. I wasn't even aware that was mandatory, so thank you for putting me on game, Hyro. I understand actual and close call near upsets, but someone like Usyk was not supposed to let a kickboxer with one pro fight get that close. Usyk's career somewhat definitely got a blemish now. That's what I'm saying. Like this is the guy. And he's still a guy that I would look at to be a gold standard boxer. Like, he's one of the best fighters I've ever seen in my life. But it's like, it does take a bit of a hit now. You can't lie. I can't deny what these four eyes are telling me. They're showing me. What's up with Andy Hiroka? I know you said he isn't treated right, so is he trying to leave? He already left. He left Ohashi Gym already. He's not with Ohashi Boxing Gym anymore. I know a couple coaches in America that have actually contacted me about getting a hold of him to train him, but I don't know Andy Hiroka. His dad commented on here one time, but I don't know him on a personal level. But yeah, it'd be good if Andy Hiroka could come to the States and come do his thing. You know, he's an awesome fighter. He's a guy with world championship potential. But he left Ohashi Boxing Gym, which is very rare. Ohashi Boxing Gym is arguably the most prestigious, most powerful gym in Japan. So normally you get guys trying to beat down the door to get into Ohashi Gym. He beat down the door to get out of Ohashi Gym because they didn't treat him right. Anybody, you don't got to know a ton about what's going on the inside to see that he didn't get treated right. You think Opataya is a good fight? I'm a very good fighter. I'm a big Opataya fan. You think Opataya is a draw? I don't think Opataya is a draw because if Opataya was a draw, Opataya wouldn't be signed with Zupa Boxing, fighting at the Meta Apex. Opataya was a draw. I don't think he would have had all those issues with his ex-promoter. He's a very good fighter, but I just don't think commercially he's a draw. But I think Usyk just hang it. Really, like he should have hung it up before he even took this fight. Him knocking the hell out of Daniel Dubois with Daniel Dubois' mouthpiece sailing out the ring with one of the best left hands you're ever going to see, that was the perfect way to go out. You'd already become undisputed. You was undefeated. You proved everything you needed to prove. That was the picture-perfect moment to lead a fight game. But no, you got greedy. You fought this kickbox because you thought it was easy. You found out it wasn't easy, and you got old overnight in the ring. That's the only thing I can say is he got old overnight in the boxing ring because all these camps, all these hard fights, all this stuff over the years is wear and tear on the body. I think he should redeem himself. I don't want to see the rematch, to be honest with you. Do the Wilder fight. You know, that's a big money fight. He's an American heavyweight. It can help Usyk get more popular in the States and then hang it up. Like he looked terrible today. This is all, guys. This ain't no Ricky Dink 5. This is Oleksandr Usyk. This is one of the gold standards of boxing. This is a guy that, you know, on a fight by fight basis, he's one of the most consistent performers over the last decade. I've never seen him look so mid, so sluggish, so lethargic, so out of ideas. It was really sad to watch, and that's why I'm pissed off. Andy wants to train in America because there are no good sparring partners in Japan. I'm gonna reach out to Andy soon because I know a coach specifically that would like to train him. And you know, I want to see what he thinks about that. Do you think he looked like he was in dog shape? No, he didn't look like he was in dog shape. He didn't look like a guy that had dotted every T and crossed every I like he normally does in his camps. He looked like a guy that knew he was fighting a kickboxer, let his foot off the gas a little bit in camp because he felt like he could, and he paid for it dearly. And it sucks to see that because you view Usyk as a consummate professional, but at the same time, he's a human being, and there was always going to be a moment for a letdown, complacency, and why sign for a fight you're not going to get up for? But shout out to everybody here. It's your boy BT, the untouchable True School Sports Empire. I'm gonna get off here in like 5 minutes, guys. I'm gonna get off here in like 5 minutes and go enjoy the rest of my night because I got some things I gotta attend to. I got some shit going on outside of boxing next week that's pretty important that you guys will be hearing about next week. So I gotta work on that. But ask some questions. He said, "Yo, what's up, BT? Was that smart part of that boot team hit you about Vito Milnecki?" No, it was not. I saw that. I'm not gonna tell you who it is. Now, if the guy that they hit me up about, if they wind up sparring and it gets posted on Instagram, and you ask me about it, I'll let you know if it's him. But I can tell you it was not Vito Milnecki, and I'll tell you this: he's not white. He's as black as the ace of spade. He's a black guy. The saddest part is that Verhoeven found a way to make it that that he found a way to make it to the 12th round to the final bell. He still would have been robbed by the judges instead of the referee anyway. This is a disgrace. It's a huge disgrace. You know, he got in there. He took this fight serious. He was a professional. He went to camp. He clearly came into the fight with the best game plan he could possibly formulate with his team and his coach. And you hate to see that because boxing is supposed to be an honest sport. It's supposed to, in the ring. It's supposed to be an honest sport. It's supposed to reward, you know, hard work, diligence, execution on fight night. And for him, that's not what happened. And for what? Like, what more does Usyk got to do in the fight game? What fight is such a big fight that they had to rob this guy for? You know? And shout out to you, Eric. I'll see you on the next live. That'd be cool. I mean, Bomac, I mean, listen, any coach who's decent with Andy Hiroko is gonna have a good time, you know, because Andy Hiroko is a top talent in the 140-pound division. It was sad to see Richard Torres lose the way he did. Now he'll always have that stigma given what happened to him in the Olympics too. Yeah, I mean, he had a big knockout loss to Jalalov in the Olympics. Now today, you know, and like I said, it's not often that I feel bad for fighters because, you know, it's really hard for me to feel bad for fighters when, you know, I've one of my best friends in the fight game. He's lost fights and people still bring it up to this day and use it against him even when he hasn't lost in like 6 years. But every now and then there's a guy that when he loses and I see how he gets treated on social media, now I'm like, damn, because Richard Torres, he's one of the nicest fighters I've ever met. Like I can't even pick out a bad thing to say about Richard Torres. He's always been nice to me. He's always been nice to the whole media. He's been nice to anybody I've ever seen him come into contact with. He's always been a guy that's been willing, ready, and able to prove himself as the best version of himself in the ring. And you know, people make memes about him. Like that's life. People love to see people fail and fall short of their goals because it makes them feel better about their shitty lives that they're living. So that's just what we live in. But yeah, I feel bad for him. I really do feel bad for him because he's not a guy that I feel deserves that kind of mockery. I get that it's big money to do Ben versus Garcia next, but it doesn't make sense to do. Doesn't it make more sense to do Ryan versus Devin while they're both champs? I think they're probably gonna try line that fight for undisputed instead. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like I'm with you, champ. I feel like they should go ahead and do Ryan versus Devin next. It's a massive fight. It's had 2 years to marinate already. There's a storyline there. It's already one of the biggest fights in boxing. How much more bigger could the fight get? You know, do the fight before one of them loses or has a bad performance, or you know, both these guys have their own fair share of outside the ring issues. You know, Devin, you know, I don't gotta get into it, but you know, they have their own outside the ring issues that could get in the way of a rematch. So yeah, do the damn rematch. Don't strike while the iron's hot. You know, you only have but so long to make anything notable of yourself in life, let alone boxing. Don't squander the moment. I know you got to be smart. I know you got to make sure the business is right. Get it right, get it tight, and make sure you fight. You see that? Hyro says, Oscar Collazo is in big trouble if he moves up to 108 pounds because Rene Santiago will lose to Dia Kira. Kira is a big puncher, and Oscar will be forced to go to Japan and get knocked out like Wilfredo Gomez. Damn, Hyro, you really... Hyro, you don't give a shit about light flyweight. What? Since when do you even know who Dia Kira is? You know, I never heard you talk about Dia Kira, but I'll tell you this. Oscar Collazo is not going to lose Rene Santiago because Rene Santiago is going to lose to Yugo Osaki because that's the path that Yugo's going to fight in about 7 hours from now, 5, 6, 7 hours from now. He's going to win his little stay busy fight. He'll probably fight a guy in the top 15. And then after that, the Sadie's coming off the Glock and All-Star Boxing is going to go line that fight up. And Yugo Osaki going to be your new unified champion. So if Oscar want to come get that smoke with Yuga, he come get a Yuga. BT, before you go, can you talk about Oscar Collazo versus Tajiron or Cuse? Yeah, I can talk about it real briefly because I'm about to get up out of here real soon. But you all know the fight I want to see. I think Collazo versus Tajiron is the fight to make. Tajiron's been here for a little bit of time now, and I feel like he's defended it enough times. Q's just got here. He's a good fighter. You know, Q's let Q's get a defense in Africa. Make some money for himself before you just feed him or put him in a unification fight against one of these guys. And do the Tajuran fight, because Tajuran's been the guy that's been calling for Pedro. He's the guy that, like, when I started covering this division, the big fights to make was Asuka Yaso versus the Shigeoka brothers. That was the fight to make. Do you know who ran the Shigeoka brothers out this damn division? It was Pedro Tajuran, when he beat the hell out of Jinjiro Shigeoka and almost killed him on the undercard of Angelo Leo versus Tomoe Kameda out there in Japan. And so Jinjiro almost died. Thank God. God bless him. He survived, and he's still alive. And then Udai Shigeoka, who was the other champion, retired to take care of Jinjiro. So he done ran these guys up out the division again. That were supposed to be a big fights. That's why you got to do. If you beat Pedro Tajuran, then I'll be like, you know what? Okay, if you want to fight Q's, cool, but I won't hold it against you. You can go to 108 pounds and go explore 2-division glory. Go explore the big Puerto Rican super fight against Rene Santiago. Go explore potentially if he's not there. If what I think is going to happen comes to pass. If Yugo Osaki becomes a champion, which I think he will, go fight him. If it's Dai Akira, go fight him. Go fight some Siri who just beat the brakes off of Sergio Mendoza Cordova. Like, there's going to be a lot more smoke up there at 108 pounds, because even though there's not a lot of fighters in total in the 108-pound division, the division's really been heating up, and it's been doing this thing. So we'll see how it goes. And I think it's going to be stiffer challenges at 108 pounds for Colosso than at 105. But yeah, the Q's fight will be good too. Q's is a good southpaw, can box, can move, can punch a little bit. But he just got here, so let him defend the belt, let him make some money for himself, and then put him in a big fight after that. But on that note, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up. I wanna give a special appreciation to everybody who viewed the live, who super chatted, all the new subscribers that I got from this live. I appreciate you guys too. Thank you guys, and welcome to the Home of Boxing on YouTube. Next weekend, just program reminder. Next weekend is O'Shaquie Foster versus Raymond Ford, but I'm gonna let you guys know in advance. I'm not gonna be live for that fight. I'm gonna be busy. I got some things planned. I have to go out of town again. So I just got back home, but I'm going out of town again. I got some things planned for the IBF featherweight champion, some promotional stuff, and I'm gonna be busy with that next week. So you'll hear about it next week. But if I can't go live, maybe I'll have Pops come on here and go live. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how I plan it out. But until then, just stay tuned. Keep supporting the channel. More great content on the way. More great interviews on the way. And yeah, gonna keep pushing for that 100K. So thank you guys so much for joining me. It sucks that what happened to Usyk. But yeah, that's boxing. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So on that note, I will see you guys on the next live. Take care. God bless, and see you later on.